Okay, we're on.
And that's us back.
Good evening. Tonight is Tuesday, April 29th. Today is Monday.
Is it? No
day
way.
All right, thank you. It's a good start here, folks.
Yep.
So what is the date? The date is the... Okay, today is Monday, April 29th, 2024, and this is the Fraser City Council Budget Workshop, and I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:25 p.m. Sorry for the delay. We took a few council photos beforehand, and apologies for the delay. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item number 3, roll call of council members, please, clerk.
Councilmember Bransky.
Present.
Mayor Lessig.
Present.
Councilmember Odell.
Here.
Councilmember Perry.
Here.
Councilmember Shortett.
Present.
Councilmember Stein.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland.
Present.
Thank you very much. Item number 4, approval of the agenda. Any changes to the agenda? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Okay, motion to approve made by Councilmember Odell, seconded by Councilmember Stein. All in favor of approving the agenda for Monday, April 29th, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion passes. The agenda is approved. Item number 5, citizen participation on agenda items. I don't see any members of the public in the audience, but if anyone would like to speak. Seeing none, we will move on from that. Item number 6, new business. We have no new business tonight, so we move to item number 7, returning business. 7A is the public safety presentation by Director Kretschmar of the proposed fiscal year 24-25 budget for the Department of Public Safety, ambulance, etc. It's all yours.
All mine. Thank you very much, sir, and welcome, council,
Welcome.
Mr. Mayor. I appreciate it. So the first item that I have on my presentation is the most expensive, and it's probably because it's the the biggest ask that I have on here is probably why I started with that. So the very first thing that we have for our budget is the purchase of vehicles. It's typical that about every 2 years is when or every year we try to replace 2 vehicles. We have 8 vehicles in our fleet plus the COP car, and then there's 5 administrative vehicles for some of the undercover cars and administrative cars. So we have, that decent number of vehicles to replace, so it has been historically every year we have tried to replace 2 vehicles at a time. That gives them time to get the mileage on them, be used a sufficient amount so that we can then resell them and get something for it before we replace new cars. So last year, as council is aware, we did get approval to purchase 4 Tahoes, which we did. That was 2 cars for last year and then 2 cars for the year before that when we were unable to get those cars. So even though it seems like, here you got this load of cars, yes, that's true, but we were a little bit behind in playing catch up. And even with the vehicles that we purchased last September, we just got the 4th vehicle in service about a week ago. So by the time it's actually approved, we make the order, the cars are delivered, we get it outfitted, striped, everything, and get it on the road. It is months. So it takes some time, just so that council is aware. I mean, I know that things don't happen in a vacuum, it doesn't happen overnight. But just so you're aware, I mean, even though we got these cars in September, it's April, and the last car is just getting in service now. So on our list here, my intent was to originally ask for 2 more Chevy Tahoes. We figured we would stick with that since Ford was having the problems they're having. We're very happy so far with the Tahoes that we have. It's a big, beautiful truck, and I'm sure you've seen it out there. It's impressive. They're doing very well, and we were just going to stick with that. The My Deal is not out yet for the Tahoes, and so the estimates that I have are based on last year, the price of the vehicles from last year, give or take, and it's not going to be it's going to be more likely than what we paid last year. But that is the figure that I was using kind of as a constant. Two of the cars that we plan to replace were in the normal rotation, that being Patrol Vehicle 32. And that car is only a 2020, but it has had transmission problems. It has all kinds of mechanical problems. So it's out actually as we speak for its third transmission. It's leaking fluid, so even under the carport where we just have our brand-new cement, I come in and I'm like, look at this. So the car is leaking, and we just don't feel like it's worth putting any more money into this car. We're just going to replace that one is the idea.
Which one is that?
3.2.
3.2, thank you.
3.3 was due to be replaced last year. It has 110,000 miles on it right now. And we were going to replace it last year, but 3.7, which we were not going to replace, was struck by a drunk driver in the rear, totaling the car. Excuse me, totaling that vehicle out. So we did receive some insurance money back for the car, which was a bonus. But that car had to be replaced, and that was not normally going to be replaced. So that one got thrown into this rotation right away because we have to. And then the other car we are going to replace, it was going to be either 3.5 or 3.8. They both are 2019s with over 80,000 miles. 3.5 has got 82,000. 3.8 has 88.5 as of today, or as of 2 weeks ago when I did that lowdown of what the mileage was. So we are going to replace, with council's approval, of course, 3.8. So those are the three patrol cars that I'm looking to replace, and those are the reasons for that. And with the vehicles are roughly $45,000 with $900 for graphics, about $23,000 for outfitting, and so that's where the figure comes from out of our capital plan for 450. The COP car, those are there's a couple of pictures there of the COP vehicle. I actually have with me, if you wanted to see more pictures of rust. There are plenty of them with that car. From a distance, it looks pretty good, but the COP car is a 2010, so it's old. We've had it for a long time. It has 133,000 miles on it. And we're looking to replace that car because it's time. And we would still like to have it be the COP car. That's the intent. It needs to be outfitted as well. However, it's not a typical patrol vehicle. We can use it in a pinch if we had to, but the idea is that it's a community resource car. The SRO will take it to the school, any community events, the parade. So we actually, our intent is to modify the graphics and incorporate the Fraser High School logo on that car. That's typically where that car is at, and so we are just going to try to make the graphics a little more community-oriented because it's one of those types of vehicles. And there is a My Deal price out for that. It's $43,171, and that would replace, like I said, the 2010 Ford pickup F-150. So with graphics, the graphics would be a little bit more for that, by just $100, $200, not is too much. I think the Tahoes are about $900 but the graphics, this one we estimate about $1,000, give or take. And then the outfitting would be another $10,500. There won't be a cage in the back, so it's less expensive than the Tahoes, because it's not patrol ready per se. But it will have graphics, the light bar, a push bumper, things of that sort.
I didn't catch, what kind of vehicle is it?
What we have now is a 2010 Ford pickup F-150, and we'll likely stick with that pickup truck style.
Did you have a question, Mr. O'Donnell?
No, I just want to know what the acronym is for COP.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's community
just-
outreach. It's the community outreach policing. But that's what it is, and it's the school resource officer. I could have said SRO. I mean, I apologize.
No, that's all right. I just want to make sure I understood. So, thank you.
This is our vehicle capital improvement plan, and I recognize that you've already been given a copy of that, and my understanding is DPW went over that at length at the last meeting. I just want to point out, and I know this is very difficult to see, trying to shrink it down to this size, but I made a correction that I noticed today when I was reviewing things, that I had put Squad 2 at the bottom. On the copy that you likely have, it says for this fiscal year, 24-25. That's incorrect. It should be 25-26. So we're not asking for that squad for this year. It'll be next year's. So I made that change there, and I can certainly email that to you or have the city manager get that to you. Or, but that's the only change that I've made on this.
Mayor Pro Tem
Spreadsheet.
had a question for you.
First, I just want to say this is beautiful. Like this plan is absolutely just gorgeous. So thank you so much for taking the time to put this together. This is amazing how it's laid out, very palatable to understand. When it comes to the cost of the vehicles and the duration of time, right, this plan goes out for the next 10 years, have you put any thought or consideration into electric vehicles and any type of, replacement that we could do with those? Especially, I don't know about squad cars, but research that's being done with other departments or in other states, because obviously that's kind of the way it's going. And, for something like a COP vehicle where it's not used all the time.
We do use it. Alex McCown or whoever happens to be the CRO or the SRO does take that car when they're going to the school. So it is used every day. I mean, it's not out on patrol. It's going from here to there and here to there. I mean,
Right.
It's not, that's why it's astounding that this car that we have has got 133,000 miles, but, it's 15 years old.
Just wondering about from a cost savings perspective and like building that out into the plan long-term, like seeing what other.
That could be a
communities as far as-
consideration for sure. I would assume that part of that consideration would be electric costs then, and I'm not sure, how I would go about factoring that in.
Right.
With that would also come the modification to the building to allow that recharging.
Yep, I know we would need like a panel put in for or charging station, something like that, but I think that there are grants and things like that out there for that type of thing. Just something to keep in mind, you know what I mean, going forward.
Yeah, I can't say that was something that was on the front of my brain when I was going through and putting in the cars. It's, something that we're still getting used to and is.
Yeah, it's fairly new, so that's just, if we could be on the ground floor of that, right, and it's going to save money, especially if it's something where it is just going back and forth, and just something to think about.
That's a consideration, absolutely.
Thanks.
I'll look into that and see if it's something I don't know that that's going to be possible if we were going to get that vehicle today, just because of what it would take to modify the building for that charge. You know what, I will look into it and see if it's something that I think that we can do, but there are more considerations, of course, as you know, than just the purchase of the vehicle.
So as far as I
Charging
know,
of it.
like a panel to charge, like if we had one vehicle, it's like $3,000 to install a panel to charge an electric vehicle. So I mean, it's not that high, and if there's such a significant cost savings over
Sure.
fossil fuel costs,
Absolutely.
right? Like it might be a wash, or we might end up ahead. So, it's not something that I'm saying I think we need to like run out and get on it, but just something to, as we're planning 10 years out,
Of course.
right? I mean, just something to think about.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you. So the patrol cars are outfitted with more than just the cages and the light bars and the push bumpers. There's all of the technology that goes inside of them. And each vehicle, well, I don't even want to say not the COP, it's not, but I'll explain that, has a laptop. I guess we'd consider it a laptop that's durable because of the use. Now, we've been advised by Clemis that that's the sole proprietor for our software and this technology. We have to go through them, that they are going to all Windows 11 by October of this year. So October of 2024, all of our computers have to be Windows 11 compliant, if that's the word. So we did have the IT come in, look at all of our computers, and there are 6 of these laptops that are unable to be switched over. We haven't bought any technology for the cars since before 2020. So it's time for most of these things to be replaced, and we certainly have to replace some of them. So 6 of our in-car computers now are not upgradable, and we have to replace them. We have 3 that have been updated. Our goal is to have 10 laptops, so we can have 8 for the cars, 1 for COP. Even though it won't be mounted in the car per se, it'll be so that he can then take it inside and use it in the school as well. And then we'd like to have 1 spare, because things break, they go down, they need to be repaired, and so that we could use that in place of something that needed repair. So that's where the figure comes for that technology. And again, like I said, it's through Clemis only, so that's what we're stuck with. And I don't mean it that way, but that's what we have to use. And we're also going to need printers. We have replaced a printer here or there. We continue to send them out for repair, but it's getting to where they're not repairable. And so we're looking to replace those as well. The radar units, we bought a couple of them last year because we hadn't replaced radar units in 18 years. And so we're looking to capture 2 more radar units with this, in this budget year. The Intoxilizer 9000, when I came to this department and I'm getting the tour and learning about the things that we have, where's our data master? Where is our breath test machine? We don't have one. I was surprised by this, and the reason we don't have one is because MSP wasn't allowing us to have one. So there was a bunch of things that happened years gone by with MSP and their intoxilizers, and they were removed. Agencies started getting those back, and when we asked for ours back, they said, you don't have enough OWI arrests to warrant having an intoxilizer. But the data that they were looking at is because we have to take all of our intoxicated drivers to Roseville. So it's one of those things that it's not recording because we don't have one, but it's not like we don't have intoxicated drivers. We do very regularly. So what happens is whenever our people arrest somebody for suspicion of drunken driving, we drive the person to Roseville, we have to inconvenience them, use their machine, bring the person back here, then book the person, and then take them to the county. So that's taking somebody out of service that much longer to go to Roseville to use their equipment. So we made some more phone calls with MSP, who's the sole proprietor for this equipment. They monitor this equipment, they calibrate it, they have regular logs that are kept, and when it comes down to court and bringing these people in front of the judge, the MSP records are critical for that. So that's why there's, state law regulating this, and MSP being the sole provider for this machine. So I believe the cost of the machine is a little less than $10,000. But there's MSP fees, of course, because they have to come in and do what they do and keep their records. And so it is about $11,400 initially, and then every year after the first year, there'll be an additional $1,500 for maintenance, but we will own the machine outright. In addition to that, we've updated, or we're hoping to update the fee schedule to accommodate the purchase of this machine as well. So there's a certain fee that OWI arrestees are being billed now. We're looking to up that fee, which will help offset, as time goes on, the cost of this machine. I can't say enough that I was surprised that we didn't have one, because MSP, for whatever reason, wouldn't give us one earlier, but then now they're saying we can buy it. So this is one of those things that for efficiency purposes, if for nothing else, this is something that we should have here, like everybody has. It was shocking to me. So another big purchase is the bunker gear, and this would be something that is going to come out of the capital plan as well. The NFP standard is that all bunker gear has a shelf life of 10 years from the manufacturer date. So I have a picture here on the right, and you can't see it, but the date is, manufacturer is 2014. It's 2024. The simple math is 10 years. So most of our sets of bunker gear are at the end of its manufacture date. On top of that, there is wear and tear. I mean, when you have these things for 10 years and you're training and you're actually fighting fires and using stuff, there's going to be wear and tear. We do monthly inspections of everybody's equipment, including their fire gear, so when we see, thought I was about to get yelled at. I'm like, I can hear it, yeah, echo, what? As you can see here, there's some tearing in the Velcro, and so we do send those things out for repair and try to stay up on it as much as we can. This is actually Captain Gillis's equipment, and he certainly takes care of his things. So it's just a matter of wear and tear, but the underlying reasoning here is the fact that this equipment is due to expire as part of the manufacturer's warranty in the fall of this year. So this is a big ask. The equipment that, we have purchased some sets of bunker gear, even since I've been here, as we hire a new person, if we don't have bunker gear that will fit them, then we've purchased bunker gear for them, or if somebody has outgrown their gear, we have purchased gear for them. So there have been a few sets that we've bought along the way. And in June of last year, the last set that we paid for, we paid $2,600 for that set. Talking to McQueen, who is the manufacturer that we typically use, it looks like the cost is going to go up, which is typical, and so I'm guesstimating between $3,000 and $5,500 per set, just because I know that there are agencies that paid $5,500 for a set. We wouldn't necessarily be looking to spend that, but I'm just giving you an idea of what this costs. We are monitoring the state of Michigan website for fire gear grant. But that has not opened. It doesn't open until May of this year. So once it opens, we will ask for it, of course, but we don't know if we're going to get it or not get it. But this is something that we're going to have because of the NFPA standard of 10 years. So hopefully we'll be able to offset the cost. But in the event that we can't, that's why it's in front of you today. Keeping with the theme of fire gear, this is the self-contained breathing apparatus that we use. So the bunker gear is what's going to protect us from the heat. This is what's going to allow us to breathe. So it's the full pack regulator bottle, air bottle, and mask that you see here in the picture. So the picture on the right is just the overview of what it looks like. Stirrups that go over your arms. You strap the thing around you, and on the left there is just a more close-up picture of the mask. Currently, we have 14 SCBA that we purchased with a FEMA grant in 2016. We got 14 of these bottles. So I recognize that it doesn't seem like it's been that long since it's only been 2016. But the manufacturer of that gear, Avon, is no longer in the SCBA business, as luck would have it, right? So we had bought this equipment. They're still in business, and they do other things, but they're not doing SCBAs any longer. Now, they have been honoring repairs for our things, but that is going to end at some point. They won't be able to do that. They haven't said that's going to happen, but I just think logically that that's a likelihood. And the parts are just going to start to be hard to come by. Currently, out of those 14, 4 of them right now are out of service. So right now I only have 10 packs that I can even use. 3 of them are awaiting repairs, and 1 of them we had to assign out to a cadet that's in the academy, which she actually graduates on Wednesday, so we'll have that one back. But the bottom line is, even though these haven't been that old, I mean, they're still 8 years old, but we just don't have enough of them. In December of 2023, we were down to 7 because of repairs that were needed, and because during inspection, the annual inspection, a couple had to be taken out of service so they could be brought up to speed. So the quote we got from, again, McQueen is $167,000 for 16 SCBA, And the reason I'm asking for 16 instead of 14, since we have 14 now, is because, again, one of the standards or suggestions anyway is that in the fire industry is that you have a pack for each seat that's on the trucks. So with the 2 trucks that we use, there are 16 seats. So we should outfit all 16 of those seats. That would give us the 16 bottles and masks. I'm asking for an additional, or I will, when it comes time, an additional 24 masks. And the reason for that is, again, it's one of those things, as I'm looking at our equipment and the way we operate, so many things are great, and then so many things I think could be tweaked a little bit, and this is one of them. The mask that you see there goes on your face, and you pull it very tightly so that there's a seal, which keeps out any hazards that you would be breathing in a fire, such as smoke and other things. There's a mouthpiece that's on there. Now granted, when we're finished training or we're finished using it because of having to go into a house that's full of smoke or for whatever the reason that we'd be wearing it, we clean it as best we can. But the reality is that is on each person's face. And so I'm going to take this mask off, I'm going to clean it, I'm going to put it on the truck, the next time you're going to grab it, the next time you're going to grab it. And it's one of those things that really is more of an intimate piece of equipment because it's on your face, you're breathing through this regulator, and it's really one of those things. And it was brought out even more so in COVID where there's particulates and things that get trapped in there. So I strongly, strongly believe that each person should have their own mask for that reason, and not just that reason. There's also fit testing, which is what we're required to do once a year. We rent or we have a machine, or we do it ourselves here now because people are trained. We borrow the machine from somewhere. But the idea is you have each member come in, put on their mask, they strap it on like they normally would, and the air is tested in a variety of different ways from the inside of that mask to see if there's any particulates or anything that's getting inside the mask while the wearer is wearing it. And without boring you with the details of that fit testing, the biggest thing is to make sure that you have a seal. Whether you're squatting, talking, turning your head, there's all these things that you have. It takes like 30 minutes that you do these things wearing it to make sure that it fits. If today I grab that mask and I get fit tested and it fits great, and then in 2 weeks there's a fire and I go, I'm not grabbing that mask. I don't know what mask it is. I'm grabbing whatever's on the truck and I put it on. To me, it's just more of a life safety thing. It only makes sense that everybody has their own mask because this is the one that fits me. I know how it fits. This is how it is, and I'm not grabbing something off the truck that I don't know if it's going to fit me or not. And we have had officers that had a hard time passing the fit test with a mask that's just sitting there. So we're more able to make sure that these things fit people the way they're supposed to. And again, it's a life safety issue to me. And it's an intimate piece of equipment to boot, and it really is important to me that everybody have their own. So that's the reason that you're seeing an ask here for masks that probably hasn't come before council before. And the masks are relatively inexpensive if we get down to brass tacks. They're less than $500 a piece. So, you know, when you're already spending $170,000 for bottles, another $24,000 so that everybody has their own piece of equipment that fits their face and they know fits their face, it's more than worth it to me. This, I actually didn't have it in my original slide presentation because we went over this, you know, last month at length. I know, Ms. Sutherland, you weren't here. So I did throw it in here because it is part of our budget. So without getting into all the details, unless you want to, in which case I'll have to, you know, roll up my sleeves and we'll get into it.
Good. I watched the meeting.
Basically, the startup expenses for the equipment that will go on the rig, the biggest thing is that Stryker ALS Life Pack heart monitor. Without that, there is no ALS. It's only a basic life support rig without that monitor. So that is the biggest thing. And that, and along with the Lucas device, which is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I should do a commercial for the Lucas device. I think that thing is great.
Is
It's
that
a
the
CPR machine. It's a CPR machine. It does fantastic compressions. It doesn't stop. It just keeps right on going, and the success rate for survivability has just gone through the roof with the use of that device. So those two pieces of equipment are the biggest part, aside from the rig, of course. It's just under 90,000. There's additional supplies, of course, that goes on there without breaking them all out, and we guesstimate that to be around 7,000. And then to do the proper EMS reporting, we have an iPad that we use that has the software on it so that they can do the reporting right there on that, which Wi-Fi's into the reporting system. So all of those things will total, almost $98,000, and that is just to equip the rig. The ambulance itself, which of course we were asking for that as well, but it takes 1.5 to 2 years to actually get that rig. So we would be ordering it, assuming we're allowed to do that. We would be ordering it in the 24-25 year, but we would not be paying it until 25-26. So that's why I said I made that error I noticed today on that capital spreadsheet, which is why I moved it from the 24-25 to the 25-26 line and threw that in here. And I didn't put the figure there. We're guesstimating about $350,000 for the rig. I think that's a high guess, but we're trying to err on the side of caution there. The ring rescue. This happens more than you like to think, that people are either working or sometimes they just outgrow their jewelry and they don't realize it because they never take it off, and then one day their finger's throbbing. Or they have an injury, either a car accident or a machining injury or anything, who knows? But they need that ring cut off. And we have something that we're using now, but it's pretty antiquated. And it doesn't work very well. Metals are a little different now than they were back in the 40s when we bought this thing, and it's very antiquated. And I actually do have the figures on how old that piece of equipment is. I would have to dig through it for you. But this is something that we should have. And it's not like we get 100 of them a year, but if you're the one that needs a ring cut off, I think it's worth it. Again, this would come out of the ambulance fund, just like the previous slide. And this is the thing that will have the jewelry come off pretty quickly without injury to the patient, and in this case, restore the circulation to her finger.
Does it cut it?
Sorry?
Does it cut it?
It cuts it, yeah. Yep. Office chairs. Some of the office chairs we haven't purchased since 2000, literally 2000. So they're not all horrible. There are a bunch like in the training room that are great. There are a few around the station that are good. But many of them, and I was walking around looking at them, the arms are chewed up or missing. Some of the wheels don't roll. They are showing heavy wear in other ways. And so we're looking to replace 19 chairs. The guest chairs for the interview room and the CID conference table, those are for, people in the public that are going to use those. And then the other department chairs that are scattered around, just to replace a few. So they're less than $600 per chair, so it will be under $12,000 total. It's just over $500 from the quote that I got recently. So by the time we order them, and it'll still be under $600 per chair.
$600 for a chair that looks like that?
That's what's wrong with America.
Yeah, there's many things wrong with America. We won't go there. But seriously?
Yeah, yes, it's shocking. The cost of everything is shocking. I know. It's less than 600 though, so it's 5 something. Maybe I should have put,
No.
That's not gonna 500.
Soften that blow.
I know, it is. It's shocking. And we could spend more. I mean,
Oh, no, I know that. I've seen the chairs that are like $1,000, but they have the headrest and the massagers and the heat and the cool and, yeah.
Right.
For that much, you should get that.
Right. And I mean, and some of them have, you know, the arms, some of them, I actually was asking the officers when they were sitting in them, in report writing the other day, and I'm like, so is this chair working all right, or what's wrong with this chair? And, well, this one pushes you forward and you can't not push it back, and this one only goes back and you can't sit up in it. And it's just things like that, that aside from the fact that the chair might just look dirty, okay, they really just aren't comfortable and functioning the way they're supposed to. Part-time salary increases. So we have, since dispatch went away, there are 2 PSAs now that watch the front window for part of the day. We have another clerk that also does that. But the PSAs started at, I believe, $17 an hour, and they have not had an increase since. So I know that the last meeting that we were talking about part-time people and, you know, or whether we're going to be consistent or not, so that's why I threw in the $20 per hour since there are many part-timers in the city that make that. So that's why I put that in there. So they haven't had any increase in 5 or 6 years. The paid-on-call firefighters, now this is one that came up recently to me since we're trying to increase our paid-on-call force again because it's been lagging for years. We're trying to get it up to 10, and we were under the impression that $12.65 an hour is what they were getting. But I guess once we talked to finance was like, well, no, they're supposed to be a paid-on-call. They get $10 an hour, and once they're a paid-on-call for 10 years, they make $12.65. That figure is, I don't even know what to say about that. And it's not written anywhere. We don't have it written anywhere in our paperwork. Finance wasn't able to, so I don't know how it even came to be. We can't find it. But I mean, I really feel that $12.65 an hour is low, but at least if we can get everybody up to at least $12.65 an hour when they're starting, and then I can readdress that in the future when I have some more figures to see, you know, what really the going rate is. So I'm just trying to get rid of the $10 an hour pay scale and at least allow all of the paid-on calls to receive $12.65 an hour.
Okay, we've got a couple questions here. Councilmember Boransky?
Yeah, one of the things that's not directly for your proposed budget, but I remember when we implemented the PSAs, but we hadn't had any follow-up in terms of the efficacy of that transition. And so it's sometime this year, not emergent, but over the next
Okay.
year. Let us know how that's working, what's good, what's bad, more hours, less hours, different hours.
We work about 6 hours each.
Right. It's afternoon
On
shift,
different
right?
days. Yes, it's mostly on afternoons. We have Deanna, who's a clerk. She's a union person, though. She's not a PSA, and her title is clerk. So she's at the window typically in the morning, and really, she's the DB secretary or DB clerk. She goes back to the DB, and she's back and forth, but she sits in the window in the morning and tries to do most of the things from there.
Yeah, I'd like to get some information about how it's working with our residents and the people coming, if it's good, if it should be expanded, if it should be changed, because it's been a couple of years now, so, I'm not opposed to, you know, increasing this rate, but just, is that working, since we're talking about it? So if you can put that in your list of things to accomplish, you know, your goals over the next year, is come back, maybe January, February, let us know how that program is working and what can be done to improve it, if anything. And maybe it's, I don't know, I don't hear, you know, other than, all we hear is complaints, I should be honest, but that doesn't mean that they're valid.
Complaints about them or complaints they're
Complaints in
unfair
general,
or,
yeah.
You know, I mean,
Yeah, but, you know, we just don't know, like.
ideally, I would love to have somebody at the window 24 hours.
Well, right,
You know? I'll
perfect.
report back.
Thank you.
Councilmember Odell?
So for paid-on-call firefighters, you said we're not at the level we need to be. What is the level you would like to see?
Right, well, that's the question, right? It just came up last week, really, when we had hired another paid-on-call, because they are responding to the social media, and they're coming in, and it's great. And so people want to do that, and then we do a background, and then we're offering, hey, you're making $12.65 an hour, and then put the paperwork in and go over to Tanya, and she's like, oh, they only make $10 an hour, and it was like, what? So this revelation just came up last week. So then I was, we're looking, okay, well, where is it written? Where did it come from? So I'm hard pressed to answer that question right now because I really can't tell you, what paid on calls are making in Clinton or, wherever they're at to tell you what the going rate is. Our going rate for most of them has been
But staffing
$12.65.
level wise, though, how many should we have in our, staffing level?
Well, that's something that we're trying to decide what we think we should have. I mean, this department had paid on calls. I think they had 20 or more at one time, and those numbers have dwindled over the years, and it really was down to like 4 or 5, 6 tops when I started here, including the mayor, the previous mayor, who really is an honorary. He and a couple of those gentlemen do a lot of honor guard stuff, which is fantastic, but they weren't in the rotation as paid on calls. Mostly they were doing honor guard type things, which was perfect. I mean, we need that, but we also need to supplement with the paid on calls. And so there were 2 or 3 others, and we're just trying to get those numbers up. What should it be? In our mind, we're going for 10 for now. Let's see if we can get 10 here, get them up and running, make sure that they have equipment, make sure they're participating. This crew that we've got going now, Captain Gillis has done a great job with these guys, getting them in here and getting them familiar, and they're spending more station time here than people have in a long time, and getting to know our people and helping out with the chores and assisting on ALS or whatever it is. And so 10 is what I'm going for. Should it be more than that? I won't argue that it should be more than that, but.
And how many do we have right now?
Right at this moment, we have 8.
Okay.
We had we've had a few snafus, so right now we've got 8. I should have 9 by the end of the month. And then there's somebody on the bubble. So our goal immediately is 10, and we'll let that go for a little while and reassess and see if we need to increase that.
Thank you.
Councilmember Shornack.
So we pay our on-call firefighters who risk their lives less than we pay someone to mow our grass. I don't know about you guys, not that I want to spend a ton of money, but I kind of have a problem with that. So I honestly think it should be more than that. I mean, technically they would be part-time too because they're on call. So, I mean, do you like roughly know how many hours, just say an average, that you utilize them? I mean, besides I know they have to have their training and stuff, I get that, but I mean,
They do, and
actually
They've been
utilize.
spending more time here. I actually have it written somewhere, if you give me a second to find it.
Because if we're going to be,
They are capped. They're capped at 12 hours a week or something like that. So they're only allowed to come here, so often. And they all have other jobs. I mean, they're doing this because,
they enjoy it.
yes, they enjoy
They're
it.
thrill seekers.
I don't
But
know
anyway,
about that.
I know, some of them
I
are
don't know
though.
how thrilling it is,
No,
but-
some of them are probably adrenaline junkies,
Maybe.
but no, they want to
They
serve
are
their community.
capped at so many hours a week, and most of them don't even get to that. But they're also required to come to training at least once a month. So, they come in and obviously that goes towards their weekly cap too. So it's not a lot. I want to say it's 12 hours or something like that, and 7 or 8 of that would be training.
I don't know about you guys, but I just feel like we should be consistent if we're going to do that. That's just my thought process.
We just did some quick math. It'd be like 150 grand a year
Pay 'em $20
to pay them $20 an hour
if they all work.
if they all worked at their capped hours.
Right, how much that's the difference between the 1265 and this?
No, I
Not-
just did rough math.
Rough
Oh.
math at the
20 bucks
20.
an hour.
Yeah, like how much it would
12
cost.
hours a week, 10 on-call firefighters costs $150,000 a year. So obviously, it makes sense to get them up. The question just becomes, what's the right rate? Because we have to be mindful of the fact we just can't keep throwing money.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
But that being said, it absolutely
But I
is
don't-
skewed backwards. because
Yeah, I don't feel really good about
Yeah, yes.
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't need to beat the
someone
horse.
sit at the desk $17 an hour and the person running out.
Fire. Into a fire. Yes, exactly, running into a fire and we're going, oh, here's 1265, thanks for playing. No, I just don't feel good about that. So I feel like definitely we have to look at that. So if you can come
So
back,
you want me to come back next month and maybe?
just send call
Okay.
or call around, see what everybody else is paying theirs,
Okay.
and then just shoot us an email. I'm sure, does anybody object to that?
No.
just to have the information, I think would be.
I'd like to see a represent, if you can get a sampling of the local area,
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
not necessarily a tiny township up north, but somewhere around here, so.
Okay.
That would be
That's
Like
reasonable.
Clausen.
I'll give you the breakdown of the hours as well.
City manager,
Just wanted to give a little perspective to this. So with our current budget, all that we have budgeted for paid on call is 15,000 a year. So that's based on really past payroll and what we've spent in the past.
But keeping in mind as well that we had like two or three,
sure.
and we're trying to get that number up, so we budgeted for higher than that, knowing that we were trying to get it to 10 for this year. Was it just 15 that we asked for? For that? Okay, well, there it is. And Captain Gillis has done the math on that, so that's probably accurate.
Probably because they don't all do 12 every
They don't.
week.
They-
I did
most of them
52
don't.
weeks. That's the max.
Yeah, we literally capped everybody
Yeah.
in that.
Some are only going to, once they do their training, just come for the fires, not do.
So if we could get I think if we can get
It's nowhere near that figure, that
Right.
I'm off on something
Right.
here,
No,
so
that's good. We'd rather be, even at 150, we're not blinking an eye
it's
at
nowhere
the
near that.
concept.
But
We got
I
things we can
appreciate
cut.
that. I'll get the breakdown for that and get it to you.
Yeah, and kind of an idea of how many hours each one
Right.
would work, so that we know, so that we can come up somewhere between 15,000 and 150,000. Somewhere in
No, and
there,
I-
there's a
and I
better
know
number.
Let's just find a happy medium.
Every penny we
tough.
pay to them is increasing the life expectancy of our employees.
Yes.
That's the bottom line.
For sure, absolutely. And I can have that figure, I'm sure, tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't hold me to tomorrow or the next day. That's sometimes.
How about we just say by
How about soon?
Friday? Friday's always a good
Well,
day to send
We'll
that.
certainly have a better figure for you for how many hours they actually work, and we can probably do some rundown on what the going rate is. That shouldn't be labor intensive at all. That's it.
Councilmember Baranski.
I do have one more thing. I concur with Councilmember Sutherland's praise of your vehicle capital improvement plan chart. The one thing I would like to see added, a column in the beginning, when each vehicle was last replaced, because I can tell by the mileage, but as this is going to be a growing document and living document, I'd like to know that, oh, we replaced that in 2024 or 2022, or just because this is the type of stuff we've been asking for years when we went through all those vehicles. A few council members remember that. So it would be nice to just know that. That was the only thing. I meant to say it sooner, but that was all I had.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I lied. I have a question for you on the budget itself. Where are, and it might be for the city manager, you guys have some revenue sources, and the only one I see on the revenue is the $158,000 in fines, but you told us, and maybe it's somewhere else, you told us about the ambulance fees. Where's that on this budget?
That's
In the fund, so
that's in the fund itself, yes.
which page would that be on?
301?
Page 15, it's Fund 210,
Two-
the ambulance fund.
Okay, hold on. And so that would be, where's the revenue for that? Oh, I see, on
The
the,
one you're talking about is the ambulance transport fees.
yep.
Yeah, that 3.
Oh, I see, okay. So 365 is what you are budgeting for the year?
Yes.
Do you know, or have we done any analysis of the fees in terms of residents versus non-residents?
There's a difference, for sure. There is a breakdown here. I'm looking at it. What specifically? For ALS?
Well, so like this $365,000 that we're coming in, how much of that is being paid for by our residents versus non-residents?
I don't have that figure.
Okay, so what's the, what figure were you gonna give me? I love data. so
No,
take your
I
data.
thought you were asking about the fee schedule? Like,
We charge less to our
So-
residents than we charge to non-residents, is that what you're?
correct. So for ALS emergency services, it's 700 for resident, 850 for non-resident.
Got it, okay.
So I don't have the breakdown of when that money has come in. Is it from residents or non-residents, or what that split is? I don't have that figure.
Do you know if that, I know, I get that you might not have it, is that something that's, because we have a third-party vendor for that, right?
Right.
So that's something that they should be able to pull from their data?
I would think.
Okay, thank you.
Did you want me to pull that?
Yes, please.
And then the only other revenue question I had is the reimbursement for the SRO. Where's that in this? From the schools? They pay, well, they're supposed to be paying for,
And they do, the schools get billed every March for the SRO, and then they get billed fairly regularly if they ask us to, like, work a football game or something like that, then they also pay the overtime for that.
where's it in the budget? So people can see that they are paying that we are getting reimbursed for that.
I'm hoping Elaine can help me with that there.
I'd have to figure that one out.
Sorry, I meant to.
Does Angelino?
I do know that, that they get the bill in March, and that we asked them last year to, that we were going to increase, or we were asking for an increase. They absolutely agreed with that, but we were stepping the increase. So last year, it was the same, because that's when we had the conversation. This year in March, they were given an invoice for, and I don't have the figure in front of me, but it was for more than last year. Next year, it will be more. So it goes up every year for the next 5 years or
And
so.
so can you get us that information as well, so that we know what, and then compared?
Probably have that sitting on my desk, I just don't have it in front of me.
Okay, perfect. Those were the data points I just wanted to know, so people can see that we are getting reimbursed for that.
Oh, absolutely.
And what we are getting reimbursed.
And we have a great working relationship with the schools, I can't say that enough either.
Yep.
I mean, we are very closely knit. And when I talked to Carrie Wozniak, the superintendent, she absolutely was in agreement. It hadn't gone up in years, and so we agreed on this step system.
Any other questions here? Council?
No, I think everything's pretty reasonable.
Just have one question on the COP vehicle. I don't see that in the general fund budget. Is that coming?
That was gonna come out of another account, out of a.
Gambling, I think.
Transferring from drug forfeiture.
Which page are you on? Page one. Oh, okay.
There should be a transfer out of gambling and then transfer into the general fund to pay for that.
Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. And that is 55,000. All right, that explains that number. Okay. Going once? Any other questions? Anything you want to add as, in summary, besides you want all the money?
I want all the money that I can get. No. No, there'll obviously be some incidental things here and there, I would think, but these are certainly the big asks. The fire gear is a big deal. The patrol cars are a big deal, just because they're, that we were taking a car, for example, one of these cars to be serviced, and foot was like going through the floorboard. Mark generously offered to take an old stop sign and put it under the pedals so that we could keep using it, but, and obviously I'm, trying to be funny here, but it really is, some of these cars just, it's time, it's beyond time. And so I don't feel like we're asking for the moon by any stretch. These things are things that we need to do the job the way we're supposed to do it. They're not toys, some of it is life safety equipment, and there's just, I don't feel, even though some of these are big ticket items and there's a lot of money here, there's not a lot of asks.
Or needs, then?
Absolutely.
In your estimation, these are needs, not?
Yes.
My first car was a Corvair and it had a hole in the floor. My dad generously took our galvanized garbage can, cut it up and made a floor for me.
See? It works. just
It
like
does
Mark
work.
said.
Yes. All right, Councilmember Baranski.
I did find another question because you gave me long enough. On page 1 of our, and this is probably for Elaine, public safety fees and fines is 158. Is that, what's that revenue from? Page 1 of the budget, middle. $158,000 from public safety fees and fines. Is that ticket revenue? Because it's very low, and I want our residents to know it's very low.
But it was 0 in the previous budget. So I think that is,
But I didn't know if you moved it.
I'm
like-
thinking it has something to do with the chart of accounts change.
We have the air on again.
Probably, I'd have to go through my notes and figure out exactly what it is since my computer.
Because I think we used to have it under the court, because the money came back from Roseville, not, or what is it for, I guess, is a better question.
That doesn't actually work. It's a dummy thing, yeah.
Well, it works, we all.
Didn't we just pay like $500,000 to fix the HVAC in this place?
That's been installed this weekend.
Is it really?
Yes.
Because I'm tired of being frozen.
Which I'll take this opportunity for a public service announcement. Saturday, this Saturday, May 4th, they are doing necessary repairs to the building, and the front of City Hall and the police department will not be accessible due to where they have to put the crane to get the unit on top of the building. And so there is certainly a safety radius. So unfortunately, there's no way around it. We've talked about this. The front of public safety will be closed, and City Hall is already closed, so that's not the bigger deal. It's the public safety part. But I just want people to recognize that, so the lobby will be closed for visitors because you can't get in due to the safety issue between 8 and 4. However, the police are still here 24 hours a day. Call 911 in an emergency or call the non-emergency Sarisa number if you need anything from the police department. We're here. You just can't get in the front door between 8 and 4 this Saturday, May 4th.
All right, we all set with public safety? I think you're done.
You'll give me that info later, Elaine.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Shornack.
So switching wheels just really quick from the stuff that Mr. Ragsdale gave us. So maybe I'm on glue, I don't know. But they put that they want to charge us $225,000, but then on the back they put that it's $18,000 for 8 weeks, which is $144,000. So where's the rest of the money coming?
It didn't
Additional.
say it was an additional 225.
It's 28,000 a week.
Total.
That divided by 8 is 20.
On top of, but that's on top of our regular rubbish
That's
pickup.
what it says. We have to further.
It says no, because it says leaf collection. So what I'm saying to you, so besides the 18,000, then they want to throw in the extra 10. So I'm just trying to, because it just says leaf program. It doesn't say trash pickup.
No, my question is, with that data number, what do we pay now? Is it an additional 225? Or is that what the total is?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Right.
I asked that question. This is not the answer I was looking for.
And then what, and
The
then,
answer I'm looking for is not here.
Correct.
It's not- yeah,
I
yeah,
don't,
because-
I don't believe it is.
He's telling you right here. Collection, transportation, and disposal of additional leaf volumes generated by the discontinuation of the City of Fraser leaf collection program for an 8-week period in the fall, beginning on a designated date set by the City of Fraser, will cost this much.
oh, no, I know, I read that.
That's what
But,
I'm-
but this is, but the, see, but then you read.
That's past 8 weeks. If you need more, any extension of the leaf collection program past the initial 8 weeks will result
why-
in an extra 18,000
But what would be
a
the
week.
difference?
No, but what it doesn't say,
It doesn't say how much we are currently
these
paying.
are two different paragraphs that you've read collectively.
Yeah.
And you've presumed that it is an additional. And I want to see how much do we pay now and how much do we pay. I want to see the actual math, because we pay something for leaf collection now.
We do. Absolutely.
I know Mark said we pay by the pound, like the load. when
No,
they
that was
dump.
when he was talking about, no, because there's still a lot of people who put their leaves at, like I do. I have to
Bags.
bag my leaves.
Yes.
because I have a locust tree. So I can't rake them into the street, because then they'll just end up back on my lawn. And anyway, so I have to bag it. So they come and pick up my bags anyway. So, but DPW doesn't do it.
Correct.
So what Amy, and I understand exactly, because that's what I'm trying to figure out is what.
We're all in the same.
Yeah, we are trying to
math.
figure out, what it is what we actually spent. Take GFL out of it. What did we actually spend to do that? Because if it's the other page that says like $98,000 or something, hold on. Because I think that, I was just trying to compare the two. So they said, okay, so that we paid GFL $22,065, right? So I'm assuming that was for the season. And then all these other costs added up. So even with GFL in there, that's 98,000. That's still way cheaper to have our people do it by over 100 grand. Does anybody, so yeah, we need better numbers than that. We need like accurate, that.
True type of
Yeah, that's
comparison.
kind of all over the map.
So right now, we have curb pickup of leaves like at your home.
It says, that's what I'm saying.
Leave them at the curb. Then we also have a dumpster. When they
Right.
pick them up,
And
they
that's
put them in the dumpster, that's a cost.
Yeah.
So that's the now cost.
Yeah.
It's curb pickup and dumpster. The future would be curb pickup is perhaps this number here plus 18,000 a week additional. And then if we kept it, what would the cost be for dumpsters?
Well, for
And we're
everything,
still,
for the
basically
labor.
continuing the current service with different equipment and,
Right, what would that number be?
yes, so there's.
That's what I'm looking for, because, again, our residents will be very unhappy if we discontinue the leaf service. I get it, that's fine, but I wouldn't, obviously, no one would be in favor of it if it's gonna cost us more. That's just kind of really dumb. I understand that pulls people away from DPW, but the whole thing was to be cost savings. How do we know it's I have no idea if it's cost savings.
Well, and the other thing we don't have here is what the cost would be to run the new equipment annually, as well as the labor if we are
Yeah, that's what I said,
reducing
the
from
whole cost.
3 to 1, in terms of, that's what I was looking for, is here's what it costs now, labor. These labor numbers seem really low to me for if we've had 6 people out for 8 weeks, that's pretty low. So I don't have the.
Can't trust 2020 numbers.
No.
I will tell you,
Well, I-
3 members of council know that these numbers are.
So if you could just let
I
Mr.
understand
Ragsdale
that.
know we
And
need.
what I'm saying is-
We want numbers
accurate
now.
numbers.
There's pieces missing in here, I think. At least, and maybe there are pieces that don't matter, but we all have a question here about a certain, 1 or 2 things. We either need to understand them and dismiss them, or understand them and integrate them into this, so we are looking at an apples to apples comparison.
We also need that too to explain it to the residents, 'cause I think to Patrice's point, right, you're saying that some people, wouldn't want the increased cost. But you know what I mean, like, I might not mind that increased cost for the service, because I use it all the time. So, I mean, it depends, but unless we can actually explain it with current information, we're flying blind here.
Yeah, that's been my concern. We need the apples to apples. We need exactly what it is, what the cost is across the board with everything that is included in the leaf pickup. And then we can compare it to the GFL numbers. And obviously, there's a huge cost savings. There's a huge cost savings, and things are changing everywhere, and nobody wants to pay more taxes. So, I mean, at that point, do we go like we did? I mean, we used to cut down the trees, or you used to be able to put your branches and everything on the curb. And they would come by and just, shred them. Now we charge for that. There's a fee. We've been doing that now for, I don't know, at least 7 years now, charging for that. So, I mean, if that's the case, that people want you to come and just suck them up, maybe then that's something that each individual has to pay for, depending on what the cost differential is. Like I said, unfortunately, it doesn't work for me, but I wish it did. I try. Just makes choices work. But anyway, so yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
So then I think, Elaine, is that clear then, kind of the math?
Yeah.
I'm looking for, okay.
Pretty much a matrix of what our costs are now, what our cost would be if we got the leafing equipment, did it in-house, what the cost would be if we just totally turned it over to GFL, and you want to make sure that we include the leaf weight cost, the labor costs, the contract costs, the equipment costs.
The whole
costs.
enchilada.
Cost.
And-
Through
and-
the independent numbers, not the summary of the numbers.
Yeah, and if we fixed, or if we didn't go with the $300,000 one-man machine, what would we, what,
Right.
the alternative, because all of those generates different numbers, so.
Yep. Yeah, because I think that kind of goes
Primarily,
back to, you know, what I was saying at the last meeting too, right? Where, I mean, he appears to be giving us like the Cadillac
Of everything.
version here. Like, there's got to be like a Buick and a Pinto version as well.
Like if we keep the leaf pickup like we have been, how much does that cost? If we add these new machines, how much will it cost going
Well,
forward?
we have to add the new machines if we do get the, if we're going to continue, because the ones we have they've met their time period. But that's the thing too, you have to amortize the life of the machine typically over that amount and then divide it amongst like, let's say 10 years, right? So 10 years, amortize it over 10 years. This is how much we actually pay for the machine each year as we amortize it. And then this is what we pay for labor and all that goes into that.
Right.
So, yeah. Angela knows. You do it. I have faith.
You can definitely help, I'm sure.
Yes, very much so.
All right. Any other questions about that? Do we ask all the questions so that get the numbers? Okay. I'd like to take a quick break.
Yes, perfect.
Let's come back in 5 minutes. 7:35. you want to lead this discussion? The next item up is talk about the budget, so.
So you've had an opportunity now to hear from all of the department heads and discussing about what their requests are through the budget process. Certainly, I have put together my recommended budget based on their requests. Now, this is an opportunity for you to think about everything that you have heard from their requests, from any type of public feedback you have received either in meetings or in person, by the phone, however you have received anything from anyone else, and consider what it is that you want to do with the budget. Now, looking at this budget, we've talked about, we have a fairly good fund balance, and we've got $4 million of fund balance that we are planning on using for this budget. Talking about a lot of the things that we don't have that aren't funded. Or I'm sorry, we have that aren't funded. We've got an OPEB of millions of dollars, I think 33 million or something like that, that we need to fund at some point in time. That's for the retiree healthcare that we have 0% funded. We have our pension that is just over 60% funded, thanks to $3 million that we got from the state this year that moved us from about 57% to 60% funded. We also have a lot of need for roads, sewer, water projects that we've talked about. We certainly talked about a lot of investment in the community from the perspective of parks, and then all the other capital expenditures for the departments that we've talked about already. We also have our revenue stream. We've talked about making some changes to the budget for that. We do have, from the perspective of what we can change in the budget, the PA 33 millage is certainly something that we can make a change at. Other than that, a lot of the stuff I've talked about really, we don't have any discretion to change. Talking about wages with contracts, with our union contracts, we have all of our contractual obligations, certainly things like the power, water, light, just maintaining all of our buildings and properties. Those are non-negotiable costs that we don't really have an opportunity to change. So I will leave it with you, and we can have discussions about that. I may not be able to answer everything tonight, but certainly when we come back to the May 9th meeting, which is typically the meeting that we would approve the budget, if we are not ready at that point to approve the budget, which it kind of sounds like we have probably a lot of questions that you may have, and you'll just be getting answers probably at the May 9th meeting, we may need to schedule a special meeting after that to approve the budget. We have to have it approved by May 20th. So I would recommend if we do schedule a special meeting sooner rather than later. That way we have time to work things out and get to an agreement. The budget does have to be approved by 5 out of 7 people. So that's something that we need to make sure that we are thinking about as we work through and talk through, negotiate this budget and any changes.
Okay. All right, Councilmember Shornack.
So what I would like, and I think most of the council would like as well, is right now, what is the balance in our general fund that is not accounted for in this current budget? So after, let's say we go approve everything that's in this budget, right? I'm just saying, I'm not saying that's gonna happen, I'm just saying. After the 24-25, what would be our fund balance?
I'm not quite following.
So, say we approved, right now, the budget as it is, okay?
Yep.
Not the funding process, just the budget that's been presented with the expenditures. After all those expenditures were done, without enacting PA 33, so zeroing that out, what would our fund balance be? That is a number.
Just the general fund.
Just the general fund, unallocated, not spoken for, no capital outlay, nothing. Money that would just be sitting there, as Ken likes to put it, our savings account, if you will, anything that's unencumbered. That is a number that I would like, because I think that will help at least me decide, and probably some other people, what it is, if we want to reduce PA 33, what the number is going to look like if we do that. If we remove PA 33, what is going to be left in the general fund, again, if we said, okay, yep, we're approving everything in this budget. So,
I can kind of give you a basic number right now. So right now, we have about 15 million in the general fund balance. With this recommended budget that I've provided to you, we actually are in the green $500,000, so we'd have 15,500,000 at the end of this recommended budget in the general fund.
so if we removed PA 33,
Wait, hold on one second. Where's the 4 million coming from then? Other funds?
Right.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
okay,
We're using fund balance in like the water and sewer
perfect.
and ambulance, things like that.
Perfect.
But if you took out the PA 33, that I have budgeted at just over $1 million, so you'd be down to 14.5.
okay, well then I'll just say it for the record. If that's the case, I'm in favor of taking away PA 33 altogether at this time.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. So at the end of June of last year, we had 12,759,000 ending fund balance.
I'm looking at the activity to date.
I know you're, yeah, and I just want to make sure we're looking at the same number, because if you're looking at the last, on page 10, the last number on the right, on the bottom, ending fund balance, that number does not include whatever we're doing the rest of this year. So have you incorporated what you expect to?
Nope, like I said,
Okay.
that's just kind of loose numbers right now, so we've still got like 2 more months left. I'm just kind of basing that on the actual of what we have right now. As far as expenditures for the rest of the month, there's so many little factors at play that I can't really give you where we're going to be at the end of the fiscal year. It's all,
Well, I understand that. I mean, rough numbers will be fine, like just, basing on like, this is what our monthly invoices are, they're typically somewhere between 900,000 and $1 million a month.
we have so many odd things. So dealing with all the COVID, ARPA funding and everything with the HVAC units, is the HVAC unit going to be fully paid off in this fiscal year? There's so many different things that really affect what that actual number is going to be at the end of the year.
Okay, well, I'll make it easy. If it's going to be above 10 million,
It is.
then if it's going to be above 10 million, I still stand with what I said.
So the amended budget has us ending, if everything that we have expensed in the revenues turns out, the end number for the general fund is 10.5 million this year.
Yep. Okay.
So if you took that 10.5 million, added your $500,000, we're at 11
11.
million. Take out 1.1 at PA 33, you end up with under 10 million at the end of next year. Round numbers.
About 10 million, yep.
That's the ballpark. It's not 15 million at the, assuming this year's budget is pretty good, we're not at 15 million, we're somewhere closer to 10.
We're under budget in a number of items, so I would be comfortable that we're probably going to be above that. But like I said, there's no telling, so
No, but I'm still fine with
I don't really have a great answer for you on, I don't have a crystal ball.
Well, no, I understand that. But I mean, the things we know are coming down. Like, we know what the HVAC is. So that's it should be already allocated, correct? And
Yeah,
no, it's still
yeah.
sitting in the general fund?
Yeah, like I said, installation is supposed to be next week, so it would take us probably a lot of time and effort to really figure out and estimate, taking a look at every single thing in the budget, where it would almost be like redoing the budget right now.
Okay.
If we were to look at where are we going to be in 2 months.
Well, but do you both feel comfortable with saying it's going to be roughly between $9 and $10 million?
Or at least.
I would definitely say that.
Least.
I would say somewhere between
10 to 15.
10 to 15, yeah.
Because we still need to make a lot of entries like ARPA fund or that kind of, but a lot of entries, the adjustment journal entry we do after 6:30, right? You know, the auditor come, but yeah, it will be, I can say between 10 to 15, exact is hard, but 12 maybe, something like that. It will be between those, it will be at least 10.
And that is way above 25% of our, so that, no, I know, I wasn't gonna do the exact math, but yes, I was saying, so that's why I'm throwing that out to the team. That's where I'm going, so, and I believe Ms. Baranski's on board with that. So I wanted to throw that out since we're having a discussion with regards to the whole budget.
Sure. Councilmember Odell.
All right, so with what's been voted on amended-wise, though, 10.5, give or take a little bit, is where we should be ending. Now, if some of those things don't get into this fiscal year, they're pushed to next year. So if it shows we start out the year with 15 million, we really might not have that because that money's already been spent in this year. So really 10.5 is more of the realistic number.
Yeah, we have a big problem if we're below that.
Okay. Okay, and then from last budget workshop that we had, did we not adjust the the stabilization money out of the budget? So we were actually going down $500,000.
Yep, we've made those adjustments.
But you said it showed we were going up $500,000? Because it was about a $900,000 swing. We were getting $500,000 surplus in the general fund with the old budget, but now that we took that
You're talking about the transfers for the.
For the stabilization fund, the extra money that we received that we weren't guaranteed was last year almost about $1 million more than what we were anticipating.
Good point.
We were supposed to get 700,000, but we actually are getting 1.7, correct?
Yeah, we had this conversation at the last meeting talking about the local community stabilization funds, and what I budgeted is what we're anticipating from the state, but it's not guaranteed.
Right, it was like
Half of it
was
is-
like 1.8, but then I thought we
Down to
agreed to take it down to 900,000.
Correct, and that's not reflected.
That's not reflected in that number. So actually, we're not going up $500,000. We still could be because we're probably going to get those funds, but it's not a guaranteed revenue source, correct? The stabilization money is not guaranteed by the state of Michigan. I mean, it's great, we got 1.7 million this year, but that's not a guarantee.
They have it budgeted, but as you all know, budgeting isn't a guarantee.
Right. So my concern with the PA 33 is if the state falls on hard times, which it very well could be with the economy the way it is and all that, guaranteed payment, that we're guaranteed to get $700,000, but they could cut that extra money. That's an easy budget cut in Lansing that could affect us by $1 million a year. That's one thing that really worries me about cutting PA 33. Because what I don't want to happen is that every year we're going down $500,000 or possibly $500,000. Pretty soon our fund balance is right where we were several years ago. And then we're going to have to raise taxes again. I don't want to do the seesaw. For me personally, I'd rather have the stable amount of 2 mills. I do want to get rid of it. I don't want it as long as possible, but until the state says you're guaranteed to get that stabilization money every year at a much higher rate that they've been giving it, that gives me great pause to eliminate that and then have to go back and ask the taxpayers to raise their taxes again. So for me personally, I would like to see it stay where it's at least for the next year or so, and then, we've got many needs in the city. We got, roads are huge. If we spend down that fund balance and get it to where it's acceptable, but if the revenue eventually starts going back down, we're going to have to find a way to replace those funds. And I don't want to base our budget on the anticipation we're going to get an extra $1 million every year when it's not guaranteed. That's my thoughts.
Okay. Councilmember Bransky.
We have 2.5 times what the most conservative accountant estimates we need in our budget. I will never vote for PA 33 with that kind of reservoir, with all of the wants that were presented over the last two meetings. There were needs, but there were a lot of wants. And any one of them could be cut, because each of them, even though we spent 8, 10 hours going over them, have to come before council before they get approved. So the trucks for the DPW, the cars for the police, the park improvements, all of that, if the state of Michigan decided to cut all, they wouldn't just cut Fraser, they'd have to cut all local funding. In an election year, not going to happen, but okay, it could. If that were to happen, we could adjust with our other things. But for me to advocate for a tax because of the future, in light of what's going on right now, it's not going to, that becomes an abuse of what it was for when it was implemented and what we've accomplished over the years. And I think, listening to our expert, it isn't below 10. It's, 10 to 15, that's a $5 million swing, so it might actually be 4 times. It might be 100% fully funded at the end of the year, which is a great place to be in, but we didn't talk about spending anywhere else, paying down debts, but we want to tax our residents, not happening.
Okay, I'm gonna speak real quick. So, I get it. We have, and I've been saying this for a couple of years, we're not broke. But we're cash rich, but we have a ton of liabilities. And I think it's important how we got to that $10 million. And that happened because we had 4 years of horrible budgeting and fiscal mismanagement. But to the good, we didn't spend money that we budgeted. Just a couple of things, because that 12 million or 10 million or whatever that fund balance is, from 2018 to 23, we budgeted $12.6 million to pay for OPEB. Of that, $4.8 million of that was over budgeted. We overestimated how much we were actually going to spend. So each year we budgeted, last year was, or a year ago, we sat here and you were wondering how you got to $2.9 million for OPEB. We spent 1.3. Actually, we spent 987,000. So what happened was the number that you received, that the council was given, was wrong by $1.6 million. That's, we talk about $1 million a mile for roads. That's almost 2 miles of roads. So when you made that decision, the number was wrong. And we didn't find that out till later. The year before, and that was 66% over budgeted. The year before, it was 53% over budgeted. The year before, it was 32% over budget. So when we look at retiree health care, it's been averaging about $1.4 to $1.5 million a year over the past 5 years, 6 years. It was budgeted at $2.9 million. That means you took money away from other things you want to do. And at the end of the year, it wasn't spent, so it just ended up staying in that general fund. And that's why it kept, I remember you saying, how does it keep going up every year? Part of it was overestimated, so it just kept rising and rising and rising. I watched several clips last night of a 2022 budget meeting. It was actually 2 years and 2 days ago. And no less than 9 times did you all say, we need to put more money to OPEB, right? We have these long-term liabilities. We need to put money away. We actually spent less money in the last 2 years. During that 2-year period, we went from $1.4 million to $1.1 million to $987,000. We've actually, you three, and I agree with you, all said we got to put more money into it. We actually put far less. And our liabilities, our unfunded liabilities, went up by $16 million. So while we saved money and it's in the general fund, our liabilities went up far higher. And so if we're going to start paying that down, I would say I would be comfortable looking at 2 mills and putting 1 mill of that right into the OPEB and start paying that down, just like you guys said 2 years ago. So I think it's important where we get the money as well as where we spend the money. And in this case, the money came from budget mistakes over since in 2018, it was close, but after that, it just kept going up and up, resulting in 66% over budget in 22-23. Money that's in the budget or in the bank, but we didn't spend it on anything, despite you guys voting to spend it on OPEB. So, who was next? Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland.
So I'm having a little bit of deja vu of our budget meeting from last year also, though, where you were very in favor of cutting it, and Patrick, you were very in favor of leaving it exactly where it was. And then I think to continue the deja vu, I said, is there any way we can split the difference? Because I think that from what I'm seeing right now, there might be an ability to do that, as well as putting some money back toward OPEB. There are a lot of things in this budget, to your point, that are or that are wants and not needs. Nothing that I heard from public safety, but I mean, even additional information that, we got from Public Works that I thought we were gonna get some numbers, here, we just don't have them. We don't have the information right now, so I can't say, but a lot of these are wants. So I think that there's gotta be a way to meet in the middle and accomplish what everybody wants, which I feel like I said this, I know I said this last year too. But I just would like it, if we can all keep that in mind also. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. I think that there's a way to do it all with what we've got expected, with what we know is what's in there, and with what I'm seeing based on all of this information can be somewhat easily cut, if not very easily cut, not somewhat, so.
Okay. Councilmember Shornack.
So I wouldn't object to that if I had a guarantee that one of those would go to our liability. And then because we would have the extra money in the fund, because then the other one would go to the police, which was what it's for, then I want commitments on roads, and that includes the business district as well. And I would want them one allocated, and because and Ms. Baranski and I have talked about this a number of times, as much as I would love to be able to just do the whole entire business the business industrial area all at once. Unfortunately, that's not the reality. We are, yes, and I agree with her 100%. We're going to spend 3 times as much piecemealing it, doing one street a year, but we need to put them, because that can has been kicked down the road for at least 15 years. And I think, Mr. Lessig, you would agree, at least 15 years, if not 20 years, that we have been doing this where, oh yeah, we'll figure something out. We'll get to it. Well, I know we're doing small fixes, but I just don't think that's enough. And, I don't care what the tax base is. I know I've heard all sorts of numbers of what they actually pay in taxes, but they're still taxpayers. And we definitely need to invest some money in that too. So the only way that I would agree to 2, Patrick, is if we as a team decided 1 to 1 and 1 to the other, because those are things that's a need. That's not a want. So that's just my 2 cents.
Just to your point, real quick, there was a meeting I watched last week from 2015. Rich Haberman was talking about the industrial park roads and say, we've been kicking this can down the road for a while. And then 2 years ago, you said the same thing. So here we are 10 years later.
Can't hit the wall, people. It's not.
And, yeah, the roads are,
It's necessary.
yes, that is a need. But I just wanted to point out that, yes,
Yeah.
it's been repeated. Mr. Odell, or Councilmember
So
Odell.
to that point, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And the reason we have all this extra money in our general fund is because of the stabilization money that is paid by personal property taxes. And who pays personal property taxes? It's not the residents, it's the businesses. They're paying taxes on their equipment, they're paying the equipment that they use to operate that. So that's where all that extra money came anyway. So I agree. A good chunk of this extra money that's been going into our general fund for year after year after year that we weren't expecting to get, my view is that it should go back into the industrial roads. A good chunk of that, because that's where it came from.
Well, but we also need to set it up like we do on our streets, and with the Pacer rating, just start doing one, you know.
I think the whole industrial parks.
Well, I
So,
know,
but,
okay, but you get my point. We
No,
can't, we
I
can't.
get it. I think
That's-
we're in agreement in that part that, you know, to spend down this fund balance to get it to proper level, but the reason we have this high fund balance is because of the.
Multiple factors.
The multiple factors, but the stabilization money is a huge part of that, that we've done year after year. And it's paid by the industrial tenants in our town, you know, that, for the industrial businesses. Not just in the industrial park, but also the other businesses on, you know, the major streets, but that's where those funds come from.
$3.6 million since 2019.
Yep.
Extra, additional funds. So, Councilmember Brain, are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, there's lots of sources for why we have the surplus we have. It's not just that our retirees didn't cost us what we thought, or that the businesses paid the fees. We got a ton of COVID money and haven't spent it. We did PA 33 last year when we didn't need it. We did it the year before when we didn't need it. And I'm talking, we have reduced it, but need. If we need to have 4.75 million to meet all accounting goals, that's the need. The rest is want. We are above want, higher than we've ever been. I mean, in this short time period, I mean, we were at, what were you at when you laid off the cops? What was the fund balance?
1.6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$1.6
I was like
million.
less than two.
We're at 10.6. Yeah, 10 times that, thank you. So I'm not opposed, so it's just, the problem is last year, we didn't have 2.5 times minimum and maybe 4 times minimum. So that's where, and the world, we weren't paying and like, it wasn't insane. We weren't paying $600 for a chair. And so philosophically, because as much as we say we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this, I'm not in favor of piecemealing the roads and paying $5 million for one road. That's asinine to me. And I apologize for profanity, but you're going to pay $80 million to do the industrial park instead of $18 million? That's not good fiscal responsibility. And that's not what I was elected to be. It might make people mad to pay $18 million up front, but that's it. So yes, there's always compromise. We're going to get there. But 4 times, 10 times, the math doesn't make sense. But I think it's the diligent efforts of our department heads, our city manager, this council, our employees, our retirees, that, and then the fact we did not spend money. But we tried. We tried to fix the roads. We tried to have $3 to $5 million go towards the roads. It fell apart. That would have changed the conversation if we would have done the roads and put $3 to $5 million from our general fund into it. We'd be having a different conversation right now.
You're against that, doing that now. Is that correct?
No, I'm against continuing to tax our residents when we have the amount of surplus we have with a lot of wants and not enough
Okay,
needs.
that wasn't what I asked. You said you wouldn't do any roads unless we had all the money at once.
No, that's not what I said. I
you
said,
said-
I'm not going to approve one industrial road at a time for a 10-year, we talked about that, 10-year project, and by the time it's done, he gave us the math, it was like $80 million. And you're going to have to start over because you've had construction going on continuously through that period. And so the first road that you do has then had 10 years of construction trucks coming in to do the other roads, and so you're going to have to start all over. And so you've created a monster. So I am not in favor of piecemealing it in the fashion that Councilmember Shornack has advocated, and some members of the industrial complex have advocated.
So would you say nothing then, until we have accumulated all the money? Is that- Until we find a source to pay for it all at once?
Well,
Is that your position, that we shouldn't?
My position is, we should listen to our experts and do it all at once,
Okay,
yes.
so if that takes 5 years, we should wait another 5 years before?
No, I'm not in favor of waiting another 5 years.
Okay.
I was not in favor of not doing anything. I was not in favor of catering to hysteria instead of
Okay.
listening to math.
Last year, you offered $4.5 million to the industrial park.
I did not have consensus of enough members of council.
No, but
to
you
get
offered,
that.
you offered that, so that's where I'm at. So
Yeah.
now it's, at the moment, it's 0.
No, Mr. Lessig, Mr. Mayor, it's not 0. You're mixing apples and oranges. There's lots of stuff I want to cut from this budget that then we can put towards roads. Right now, we're talking about $1.1 million from PA 33. That's the only line item we're talking about right now.
No, that item pays for other things in the budget. For example, OPEB liability, if we wanted to put money into that. It pays for local streets, if we wanted to put $1 million into our streets, funding the police department with PA 33, then frees up other money in the general fund to then put $1 million in, which is not in the current day, it's not as much as it did in 2008, but it gets something done. It's something more than just a Band-Aid. So if we have this $12 million, $12 million in general fund that's unassigned, and we want to keep 4.5 aside, so we've got now 8.
Right.
8 to do things with. We can cut taxes, we can fix roads, we can look at the industrial park, we can pay OPEB. Those are all options.
Correct.
And those are all, I guess, to a large degree, they're wants, but they're also needs when we have a $60 million unfunded liability. So that's what I'm trying to get to, is what is the plan so that we do this logically and cover all the needs at once. And we have, roads, we've talked about Steffens Park, we've talked about Pompano Park. All of these things are generally wants, like parks, those are definitely something like that. But roads, I'd love to do $3 million in roads. We don't, but we don't have the money to do that today. So what do we do together so that we come up with something? I understand you want to cut PA 33. I would really like to not add another $2.5 million under the unfunded liability for OPEB this year. If we can put $561,000 in, which is about 1 mil, PA 33,
It doesn't have to come from PA 33 is my point. It can come from our general fund balance.
Well,
We have, if you just did your math, I'll just.
I put $1
paraphrase.
of PA 33 and $1 of regular tax revenue into the general fund, they become indistinguishable.
We don't need the loan from the residents to pay the liabilities we want to pay this year. It's that simple.
It's not a loan. You said loan. So
I was trying to use an analogy. We don't need the extra tax from the residents. We can use the general fund balance to pay. I'm very comfortable. I've got a list here. Pay, OPEB, pay, right here, boom. No increase in water rates, boom. Cut PA 33, boom. Allocate specific amount, whatever that dollar amount that the consensus of council to the industrial sub, whether it's 4.5 million, 5 million, 3 million, whatever the number is. Taking that surplus, if we can agree that it's 12 million, 10 million, whatever it is, right? And to me, the thing that's easy to take out, because it's not needed, is the 1.1 million in revenue stream from PA 33.
and why is it not needed?
Because we have 3 to 4 times the fund balance that all of the experts that we've ever hired, that have ever come before us, that we've ever interviewed, no one has ever said we need more than 25%.
That's correct.
But with,
Correct, hold on.
sorry, go ahead.
And we have
Many-
10 to 15 million.
And many of those experts are the reason we're here today, because they, pardon my language, they screwed up the budget.
I'm talking about the experts, this expert right here, Yo and Yo.
Well, yes,
We asked everyone, every interview I've
very-
ever interviewed, everyone. Mike, Mr. Lessig, tell me anyone that's ever said we need more than 25% fund balance.
you're picking one number out of all of this, and without recognizing why we're at 90% fund balance. We're not at 90% fund balance because we cut everything in the city. We're at 90% fund balance because the OPEB was incredibly over budgeted over 6 years by almost $5 million.
And we never accounted for our spending after each year. And we got to correct that. We let the balance accrue and accrue and accrue and accrue.
You didn't even know this was happening until our audits were 4 years in a row late. The last two audits didn't happen till last year and beginning of this year. So for like 2 years, we were blind as to what the actual finances of the city were. When she came on board, Vince Nealand I didn't want to use his name, but our finance director at the time, Mr. Nealand, had no idea what he was doing. And I watched you last night from 2 years ago saying, we're coming into this blind, and we don't really know where we're at in April of 2022. We don't know if we're going to be 5 million high, and it was very chaotic. And that was only 2 years ago, and it still took until, August of last year for the audit for 2022. It was 8 months late. And then this one was late. So how we got to that 20, you and I agree, 25% is a good number. We're at 90. But the question is, what didn't we do with that 65% in between? And you want to take that and you want to make it a tax cut. That's a policy decision.
Yeah.
So I'm going to disagree with that policy, your policy position on that, because we have roads to fix. We have the industrial park to address. We have a lot of things that we aren't addressing in this budget.
And that's absolutely appropriate.
So if you take $1 million off this, that's $1 million we will not have to work with to look at local streets.
Correct.
Okay? All right.
I'm, this is not my first time at the rodeo. This is not my first time advocating to reduce PA 33. I've been successful at doing it each time. We've accomplished and been able to give each of the department heads pretty much the bulk of what they've asked for. The only thing we haven't been able to accomplish is the industrial sub, and that's not for lack of effort. But that we can do it doesn't mean we should do it. And you need 5. I don't know where Councilmember Stein stands on that. I don't know where Councilmember Perry stands on it. I don't know. Patrick and I forgot all about that till you said that. Because we were sitting next to each other. Because it's not personal. This is absolutely, everything in here is policy. When we're going to talk about cutting other parts of the budget, it's policy decisions. That's what we do. That's what I'm advocating for, a policy decision to not tax the residents this year.
Okay.
If you're advocating for something different, that's your prerogative.
That's right. Thank you.
Well,
Somebody over
thank you
here.
for letting me
I was just going to point out that
cross-examine.
I agree the fund balance is too high. We need to get it right sized, but there's so many priorities that we got in the city. Roads isn't, top of the list for me, but if we stop the revenue stream of PA 33 down to zero, we just signed pretty much all new contracts for all the employees, so those costs are much greater in the past than they have, just because of inflation. So that's gonna continue to expand our OPEB expenses down the road and things like that. Me personally, I don't wanna have to come back to the residents and say, sorry, we drained the account, we had a bad spell, now we're not in a good financial position, we gotta raise your taxes again. And I don't want to do that. I'd like to keep it steady and pay down the OPEB, fix more roads with it, and when we make some better progress, and by doing that, we're going to pay down that fund balance on just those two priorities that are going to eat up a lot of that fund balance once we get a comprehensive plan on how to do that. I think we all know it needs to happen. But I'm not saying raise the taxes on our residents, I'm just saying keep it at status quo till we get some of these issues done. Because they're not going away. The road problem's not going away, and even if we spent everything in fund balance and got it down to 25%, there's still a huge hole to fill, a lot of potholes to fill, per se. So,
Literally.
yeah, and it's not that I don't want to lower the taxes. I do. I hate government wasteful spending, and I don't want to do that. But we got to get our long-term liabilities right. We got to get a good comprehensive plan on getting these roads fixed. So to me, if we spend down that balance, we lower PA 33, and our general fund balance is going to go down steady year after year, then see it going back into the same position we were years ago. So that's my position. So.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland.
Just want to make one other quick point too. So, when we talk about wants and needs, I don't know anybody that I've ever met that has moved into a city to say, oh, wow, I really want to live here because they're going to give me the basic, just what I need to be able to live here. So they're just going to make sure that my trash is, but no wants, right? People want to live in a city that's walkable. People want to live in a city where there's recreation. People want to live in a city that has great public safety. So, it's okay for us to address some of these wants and not only provide the basic needs that we get to get by. Maybe this is our time and our opportunity while costs are low, right? Because they're not, but they're only going to continue to increase for us to be able to do some of the things in our 5-year plans with our downtown area. What do people want, not what do they just need? And then continue to assess it when we have an on-time audit and we know what our fund balance looks like going forward. Because I can tell you one thing that I hear from residents all the time is they don't want to live, or they don't want to live in a city where the road is so dilapidated that it's now dirt road. But do they need new roads? No, you could drive over dirt. You could get a horse if you wanted to, but I don't think that anybody wants to do that either, right? We're going back in time. So we need to also think about the city that we want to build for our residents, not just what they basically need to get by. People need to want to live in Fraser.
Councilmember Stein.
I agree with you, Mayor Pro Tem. I agree with how you want to try to lower people's taxes, but you guys, I've only just became, right? So you guys done a great job in the last couple of years to keep money going into our fund balance, doing all those things, cutting things, making those great decisions, right? But I feel like if we get rid of PA 33 right now, I just feel like we might, like he said, we might just go right back. And I'd rather not take it away and they have to go in 4 years and say, hey, we need another mill. And like you said, I understand the needs and the wants, but there's some wants that people want to live in a city, like you said, and roads. Huge. So I agree.
Thank you. Councilmember Perry.
I think we have too much money. That's the issue. I've asked, Elaine and Angeli for numbers for this exact number fund, and I haven't gotten it for 2+ weeks. Today, you guys have it like that. It's kind of upsetting. We have way too much money, and that's what it is to me. It's like a faucet that we need to turn off for a little bit, and we can turn it back on, right? Every year. The census isn't being taken again for 6 years. Am I right? 2030? Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying we should blow this money, but we should not be turning PA 33 on again right now, I don't think. That's where I stand.
All right. Anything else on that at the moment? Because I did want to talk about Rindell Park. Well, they brought this up, and I wanted to just talk about a couple things that, so I did go over there and saw that it is indeed a landlocked park. And I also had a feeling, and I confirmed it, that building or that park received Land Water Conservation Fund money from the federal government. So, and it may be for that building. We may not have records. I couldn't find it on the federal website. But in order to tear that building down, you may have to get permission from the government to do so.
I'm not, well, that wasn't even my full thing. My whole thing was,
Well-
can we deed it over?
And that's the second thing. And if
Agree.
any park that
Yes.
receives MNRTF, Michigan Natural Resource Trust Fund, or Land Water Conservation Fund money, becomes kind of a protected park. So in order to unpark it, or that's the term I used, you'd have to go through the hoops and get permission from the right agencies. Not impossible, it's just a wrinkle that has to be considered.
Well, and at this point, when those funds were given were literally decades ago.
And they don't expect, and that's the one caveat. If it's, say,
Amortization of it down.
yeah, a building doesn't, they don't expect to last forever, so there is some accommodation for that. I just want to say that's a wrinkle, but it's an interesting idea because there's literally no ingress or egress, and we can't park there.
I think we need to deed it to the school if we can. And,
And that may make it easier since it's another
I
government.
mean, we're putting money into something
Well, right.
that is never going to be.
Because it's another government thing, and because it's a school within our city limits, and they can utilize it for school purposes.
They want it?
Yes, they do. It's going to increase their footprint.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that they want it.
Well, I just want to be able
Our
to,
residents
just
want more space.
But we need to find out what
Of
the
course we
wants
do.
are.
All I'm
because we
saying
want
is
to give it to
entice
them, but
them
if they're
to
like,
take
no,
it.
thank
Well, yeah, you would have to go in front of them. I
we
mean,
want to at least be able to approach.
Gotcha.
I know, no,
We
no.
need to agree that
Fine.
we want to collectively not put any money
Yes.
in, and then we want to collectively pursue offering it to the school for free.
Here's your dollar.
Yes.
Thank you very much, just like the
So
library.
would there be consensus that we're not putting any money into the roof at this point in time, other than to patch it so it doesn't collapse?
Correct.
Okay.
That would be my consensus.
Does that give you direction on that at the moment?
Yep, and just for a couple clarification points, first of all, with Rindell and the school, I did actually reach out to them. I've not received a response yet, and more than likely, it's not just a Carrie Wozniak
No, it's
Oh, no, the board
oh,
is.
no, yeah, it's going to
Department.
be.
And then I also wanted to address your question, Kenny, about the balances. I know we had some emails going back and forth, and we were trying to figure out exactly what it was that you were looking for, and I think maybe there was some confusion between fund balance, bank balance. Where we last left it, it appeared that you wanted bank balance amounts.
Surplus, basically what you guys informed us tonight.
Okay, so a little bit different than what we were actually working on, and Angeli, I spoke with her today, so we were going to be getting you the bank balances because that was what it seemed that you want. So you don't want that anymore then?
No, I would still, it would be nice if I could still get that, but I was looking for, like I was explaining in the emails, the surplus, the rainy day, whatever you guys label it as.
Yeah, and I think it's just one of those things,
Terminology, I don't-
nomenclature, that eventually we'll be speaking the same language, so we'll have a full understanding of what it is that you're looking for. So I apologize for that.
That's okay.
But we will get the bank balance information, and I'll make sure and share that with everyone. It doesn't necessarily tie to funds or anything. It's really just the money in the bank, and it's not necessarily even all of our money, because some of it's money that comes in and then we owe to others. So just to kind of give you all an idea of kind of what money we have in the bank. But generally, you're going to want to really look at the fund balance, and when you get those revenue expenditure reports, those are your updated numbers.
Yep. And Ken, excuse me,
No,
Mr.
that-
Councilmember
You
Perry.
don't have to call me councilman.
No, I
how did-
was told by my better half that I need to,
How did this park, how did Rindell Park get landlocked in the first place? How did
always
you
been that
originally
way.
get to it?
I didn't live here. Probably wasn't even.
I can tell you.
born, so.
They would have access to it from the school, and also Oak Ridge and all that, they would just let it, but there was never an official agreement that you
Okay.
could park there, because they used to have baseball regularly, like when, back in the 80s and stuff like that, when Parks and Rec was like beyond booming, games were held there, and that's when they put in that walking path.
Okay,
And then they also had like the tennis courts, which I think they then converted to basketball courts, which were also converted to like, they used it for everything, kind of courts. And then because also Fraser Woods and the condos, they back up to that as well. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's always been landlocked. It has never not been landlocked, at least in the entire time I've lived in here, so that's like a really long time. And I also went to Eisenhower, so we used to access it just through Eisenhower, but that's what I'm saying, like, it's always been landlocked, but like Rite Aid and what was before the Rite Aid, I don't even remember, but they would just always let people park there in the back and everything on the sides. They didn't seem to mind, but there was never an agreement, and, you know.
okay.
So it's always been landlocked. It's never not been landlocked.
It was a
I don't-
Perry Drugs.
That's what it was. I knew it was another drugstore, I just couldn't remember.
It was
because I'd gone
Perry's.
through so many.
Ms.
Just a little bit more to add to that. So the reason that we've kind of gotten it here at the budget point is because with all the changes in staffing and trying to figure out what to do with this building. There's also been changes in some of the property owners as well. So when we put the new sign up, the property owner said, hey, well, that sign is on our property. Not sure if you knew that or not. And then the shopping mall that people would park at, that had a change in ownership as well, and we don't seem to have any type of agreement or anything for access to the park from the property. So that's kind of how a lot of it has developed on our end, about what are we going to do with this park that's landlocked.
I don't like the
The park
idea.
hasn't been used in like over 10 years.
Longer than that.
At least, I'm saying.
Yeah, at least 10.
School used to use it in the beginning when my kids went there, so that was like, what, 12?
Well, yeah, for,
But then, since then,
Field
I've
day.
never seen anybody on it.
the only time they ever used it was field day.
Yep.
I don't like the idea of just giving it away, though, selling it for $1. Is there a way we can utilize it?
No.
You can't access it.
No?
You can't,
No,
legally,
it's
you can't
landlocked.
access it.
Helicopter.
We could helicopter, yeah, drone, we can drone in.
If one of those homes goes up for sale, I don't know, could you
We
do
could offer it
something?
for sale to all adjoining properties.
There's no homes around it?
No, there's the homes that back up, they're.
There's like 2.
I just can't believe there's no
No,
easement to
they're,
get to it.
these are actual houses, these are their backyards, and over here, no.
No, I'm
this
not
is-
even looking over here. Like this,
You could access, you
this is
could offer it to
condos.
all adjoining homeowners for sale. You absolutely
Okay.
could do
Yeah.
that.
This over
Which
here is
there
all
are two.
condos.
Yeah.
This is the shopping.
These are all
And these
properties,
are
yeah, personal
back, they just back up.
Right, but
And then this is the, obviously the school.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really, I don't see anybody taking it right away for that.
There are two nonprofit organizations there, Fraser Woods and the school district. That's,
Yeah, that's why I'm just like, it's one less.
yeah, we're a
That's
long way,
valid.
we're a long way from making the transaction.
Absolutely.
Because we've got some homework to do on the land.
oh, and see if they would want
Yeah,
it.
but I'm just saying if it were possible.
It's worth looking
have to
into.
upkeep.
I think it's
Or
worth,
the,
Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland.
So I have a question for Ms. Levin. So the grant funding that we get that can only be used for particular groups of people in the community, so like seniors, what is that called?
Oh, you're talking about community development block grant fund?
Yes. So if the school didn't want it, or we did want to utilize it, because I know that Mr. Ragsdale is always trying to put senior equipment into Blanky, would there be any way that we could get community block grant funding because Fraser Woods backs up to it, or we could make that into like a senior park?
But Fraser Woods is, he doesn't own that.
Could still make it into a senior park, and that's at a senior building where seniors could access it, and they could
So
have.
we're going to, in essence, give it to the private property.
we would still own it.
We would still, it would still be our park, but because it would be,
They'd have to grant us access to maintain it. And right now, technically, we're trespassing when we go to cut the grass.
Be
and-
potentially a mutually
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
consenting
You're-
thing where.
I'm just saying, like, if we have to keep it.
Yeah.
That we
and
try
that-
to work with them.
We try to
Like
work
it.
with them to be able to use that specific
Area.
funding that we can only use for that group to make it like a senior mecca of Macomb County with, you know, equipment that
Senior exercise
seniors can exercise on, and, I don't know, horseshoe,
Idea.
bocce, but
You're really gonna
you know
have
what I mean,
problems
just
because
something.
then Seniors typically, and most of them have issues, and they need handicap parking, and it's still landlocked, and there's not that many handicap parking spots over.
That's a huge apartment complex.
I know, but you have to pay to have a car there.
It's a something to
Right.
look into.
Yeah.
It's something to look into. It's
Well, we'll
something
be-
different, right? Maybe even it's a Plan C, but if we can have a McKinley, right, that's accessible park, and it's world-class, right, here in Fraser, why can't we do the same thing for seniors right next to senior housing?
Privately owned.
Well,
That's the problem.
that's the
That's
one
the,
fly in the ointment.
otherwise it's a great. I'd give you the 70 grand from the trust. Start the process.
Hey, anything,
Save money, boom.
right, since nobody else is talking, park improvement at Steffens, is that in or out of the budget at the present time? Any thoughts on that? Since we have the time here,
The smaller improvements that we talked about, the gazebo, roof, the tennis courts.
Yeah, I thought we kind of
Yeah, I thought
came to
we-
a consensus
Yeah, we
about
came
that.
to a consensus.
Yeah, that, no, you said
Yeah.
in or out, that I thought that.
Yeah, the
I know the.
revised amount.
There's a $40,000 grant coming to the city to help with those
Thank you.
costs offset. So we want to spend that money so we don't lose it. And, because that's got to be spent by the end of September. So some of those projects need to be worked on so we can get that.
Wasn't that what we all agreed on?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, minus,
I just thought he.
yeah, minus the demo cost for the building right now. Until we get more information.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is the consensus of the council, so we can include this in the budget,
Minus number 6 for now.
minus number 6.
Well,
Sheet, where are you guys looking at?
so last one, that's in Mark's thing, and it's page 32.
Mayor Pro Tem Sutherland.
So when it says no repairs to the concession stand, I understand not getting it up to operational, but we at least need to make sure that it's like
It's kept
structurally
up.
sound, right? And the roof isn't leaking. So I don't like this word, no, like only.
Yeah, I thought he was actually just going to repair the bathrooms.
Right, I would like to see something like.
Necessary repairs,
Necessary.
Yeah, then we'll
repairs
put necessary in
to
there.
the concession stand, not no.
Yeah, because we have to keep a building up to make it
Structural
look.
only.
Right.
So investigate pickleball options, I
Needs.
believe.
Yeah.
On the tennis courts, we
Yes.
were looking at redoing them, not just
Correct.
Yes.
not just
Yes.
a minimal resurfacing. This would be
Yes,
bringing
full
them back up to fully,
use,
okay.
full use,
So not just investigate, but
make it happen.
And that should actually be.
And that is in the budget.
If that,
yes.
if
But I'm
that
just
40 grand has to be spent, that should be started now.
Yeah.
And that, because we all agree, those get used. The minute we did it, they got used.
Yeah.
So we've already got 40 grand for it. It's going to be more than that, but I think like this budget session, let's get that reno of the tennis and hopefully converting some to pickleball should.
Yeah, because that's only paint. So once they.
Well, no, it's going to be tear it down.
No, I know that. I'm saying to make it pickleball
Oh,
slash
correct.
tennis.
Yeah, that
it's
part is
paint.
easy. Yeah.
So let's get the resurfacing and the actual thing done.
And then
And the paint is really minuscule in the whole process.
Yeah.
Well, then we got to chop off number 6 too, because,
We already said that.
okay, just making sure
Yep.
that we're taking that off.
you had a question, Mayor
No,
Pro
I'm
Tem? Okay. All right, so necessary repairs to the concession stand, replace the gazebo roof, and then repair tennis courts at Steffens and Pompo. Correct?
Just kidding.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Sorry, just kidding, I'm not done. Okay, so for number 5, prepare baseball fields for casual use. I would like to almost expand that to prepare baseball fields for casual use and to ensure that they don't pose a risk.
That's what that means.
Does it?
Yeah, he knew. It
Yeah,
was very
because he was
clear.
very clear about it needing to be repaired for safety
I
purposes.
want to see it in writing.
Okay, but he was very clear about that.
I want,
Okay.
Well, this isn't the, yes.
but I also thought we were going to get some numbers
Well,
here,
this is
too.
Not in a
to get
week.
us to a number,
I mean-
kind of in the, for your budget purposes. I want to give you direction so you know what.
I mean, he's got to replace the benches that are broken and, obviously a hazard. The chain link that is broken.
So, well, let me just, there have been many times over the past few years that I've been up here where Mr. Ragsdale has come and said, I didn't know what the direction was. Just tell me what to do. I want to flat out tell him what we want him to do. I don't want it to say prepare baseball fields for casual use. I want it to say prepare baseball fields for casual use as well as repair any, safety concerns outlined by the Department of Public Works Management staff. Because I don't want him coming back here and going, oh, I didn't know that we had to fix those benches, even though they're rusty and falling apart.
He's the one who
We just
told
said, we just said casual use. Nope.
Well, if you look, the best way to give policy advice, he's got $615,000 budgeted for Steffens. in addition to saying that, you say, here's your budget for it. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we can all agree it's not $615,000 because that was
Right.
everything. So you can cut
Should be much less.
half, at least, there's 300,000. See? Maybe 400,000,
I'm
maybe,
my basic.
I know.
my basic-
We
is
gotta
I'm
tag team
preventing
it.
him from coming back in August and
He
saying,
wasn't clear.
I didn't know.
right. So
I
we
just want
new
direction.
benches,
Here's your
new
direction.
fence, the field to be graded, leveled,
And all
and it to
safety
look,
concerns
yeah. Yeah,
taken care of.
Safety concerns addressed.
yes. And how much then do we want to budget for that park improvement in total?
I don't think we can,
Well, we
say
can
that
give a
right now.
guidance, because the problem is if you put 400,000, you're gonna get the greatest bench seating. Because that's what happens. I'm just saying to give guidance.
We don't have enough information to be able to
Right,
give
we don't
that
have it.
guidance right now.
Cost for each item. So how,
City Manager Levin.
I actually do have
Yeah,
his
I
numbers
thought he
from his
provided that.
worksheets.
Oh, yeah.
So, Stefan's tennis courts, his estimate was 300,000.
That seems high.
No.
It's a milling, it is a lot of work. You gotta grade it all down.
This is for total tear
Here
out,
we go. It's on this sheet, guys.
redo the base.
I didn't bring those.
Okay, well, it's on there.
For the softball field fencing, 50,000.
That's high, but.
The gazebo roof, 5,000. The tennis court fencing, 50,000. The Stefan's exterior fence, 50,000. And Stefan's baseball diamond enrichment or enhancement, 150,000.
Those were the stands, right? He was talking about replacing stands.
I don't have any other detail. You'd have to.
He was talking about replacing the whole backstop, yeah.
And that's just an estimate, not a quote, based on the
Yes.
master plan.
I mean, but to me then, if we're talking about immediate needs, it is not an immediate need to approve $300,000 to redo those tennis courts. But I'm just saying, but it is an immediate need that rusty, jagged fencing, bleachers, picnic tables that are falling over, that is an immediate need that those get fixed. So I don't care if we say, we prove $100,000 to fix the immediate needs, and then we talk about all of the wants and what we want to do with that later.
because there's tons of people using those.
We
tennis
need
courts
more
as
information. We
Of now.
But here's the thing. So you can always leave what is in the budget because he has to come for approval for everything. And at the end of it all,
Not if we're just giving a number right now and putting it out in the universe and saying, oh, you get
no,
$200,000.
that's what I'm saying. You leave this in the budget, just like the manager had said, 2.5 for raises. She's not going to just blanketly give out the raises. She's going to do her reviews and wants to have it available. That doesn't mean it's going to be used. It doesn't. And so that's what I'm saying with the park. It's the same thing. It doesn't mean it's going to be used because Mr. Ragsdale will have to come here and go, okay, this is how much this is because he's only got a $7,500, right, $7,500? Where you can sign off on a $7,500
Elaine's.
expense?
That's for me.
Oh, that's for you. Okay, then.
His is
less.
500.
Okay, his is even less. Okay, so he has to come to council and be like, hey, this is how much, I've now priced it out, this is how much the tennis court is for sure. Okay, we signed off on it. As long as it's in the budget, then it's there, and we don't have to do those budget amendments at the end of the year. Just because it's there does not mean you have to spend it. It's like a savings account. It's there for whatever you're planning on using it for, but if you don't use it, it just stays there.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I need to see it in writing because, that's one thing that I've learned up.
But we're not
here in the past-
approving that today.
That's not what- Yes, I know
I
where you're going with
understand
that. I know where you're going with that, Ms. Sutherland. I know that you want to see, I want the numbers too. All I'm saying is, I don't think we have to say we're going to cut the budget, we're going to take this much out of the parks or not. We leave what's in there right now because if it doesn't get spent, it just gets put back in the general fund. We're not losing anything. I'd rather have the money there as a cushion so that when it comes to something, we don't have to make a budget adjustment at the end of the year. It's already there, right? And again, Mr. Lessig, as you know, at the end of the year, if we don't use it in that fund, whoosh, it goes back into the general fund, and then everything gets reallocated again.
I feel like we're kind of talking out of both sides of our mouth here, though, if we do that, right? Because we talk about with PA 33, like, oh, we don't want this big of a cushion, and now we're talking about.
That's what I was gonna say is-
Then we talk about these specific things. Oh, wait, no, hang on, it's okay to have a cushion, like,
There's a logical cushion
No,
in
that's,
it unlocked.
because I don't consider that a cushion.
$600,000?
I don't consider it a cushion because it's not being allocated for. It's just there. And that's totally separate from PA 33 because PA 33 is a tax. It's a tax that we're pulling in from people. So those are two different entities in my mind.
Well, where I agree with Councilmember Sutherland is I was going to find within the budget more realistic numbers, so you're not borrowing from the general fund, so that then we have in the general fund for roads and to add, because I have ads that aren't here, and that we're still at a net ability to get more of our wants.
Okay, but we all agreed that the tennis court isn't a want, it is a need.
Correct.
So,
I don't agree with that.
$300,000 to become.
No, I don't think a $300,000.
I become far less needy.
I don't feel like it's a need either. I mean, people are using it every single
paid-
night.
yeah, but we also
me-
are
let me
leaving
just-
ourselves open to suits for anybody being injured on them because of the cracks and everything that are on there.
Okay, let's make sure, can I
Unless we
just,
put up some signs that say, play at your own risk.
okay, so I was there when we approved like a $35,000 fix for that.
I thought it was more than that, but yeah.
And I think it was about 35, it could be 50. It certainly wasn't anywhere six figures. So at that time, we agreed that that was a fix that wasn't going to cost us any liability. I think we all know that that was a temporary thing, and it's been 4 or 5 years. So the question is, how much do I really need a $300,000 plus fencing? That's $350,000. That's more than we spent on any other park in the city. Any other park, just for the tennis courts. I really want to drill into that far more as far as, shaping that budget conservatively. I agree with you. I agree with you too. That we need to get it so that we're getting to a real number. Because in 2015 or 16, when we started, we were taking $500,000 and we were cutting capital expenses just to get a fifth vote. And that was a very difficult time when we didn't fix anything. And then we get not kicked, but we get criticized later for not fixing things when we literally didn't have enough money and we had to horse trade that away on that night. So I think we should work to get into the things we want or don't want, the trucks that I've heard conversation about. So those things, I can tell you, it's somebody that sits over on that side. Direction from the council, from the board, is very important to these folks getting to a good number. Would you agree with me?
Absolutely.
I knew you would. But it helps her too, so that she says, well, now I don't have to, they gave me this list of, yeah, they are very interested in these things, these are maybes, so she knows where they should fit. And Mr. Ragsdale, Mr. Barrett too, so. I think we're all talking in the same direction. It's just a matter of how specific we get and.
Like, my proposal would be to just easy math, because we're not going to decide, and we don't have to decide before the budget's approved about tennis courts and how much. If we change the capital outlay for park maintenance, make Steffen's 300, get rid of the 20 grand at Blanky and the 60 grand at Rindell, that makes the total, instead of 825, 395. There is $400,000 in savings, offsetting my 1.1. When we all know none of us were going to raise our hand to approve $600,000 in these kind of improvements in a park when that's realistically better used elsewhere. That would be how I would do it, because I don't want to leave $600,000. That is just too enticing for people.
So how could we give you direction? Do you want to go through a list and have us kind of nod in consensus, or what would you? This is a budget workshop, we're not making hard and fast votes tonight, but she needs to shape a budget that.
So you want to reduce it down to 400? Would you guys feel comfortable with 400 for Stephens? And again, remember, we do not have to spend it. They have to come for approval for things. So just keep that in mind. Doesn't mean.
Not
it's gonna-
Stephens, it's, oh, I'm sorry. I
Talking
was
about the
all of
Stephens.
it.
Well, no, I was talking specifically Stephens.
Oh, okay.
Oh, 615 to 400?
I'd probably
Is that what
go
you're- is
lower.
that what you're-
If we're not gonna tackle the tennis courts.
Well, if we're not,
What if-
that's what I'm saying, but that's including the
That
That would
right there.
be inclusive of that.
That would be including
A
that.
hard number to.
Yeah, a hard number that we're gonna say, okay, and then take this that we've allocated, the 615, now take 215 and put it back into the general fund, where it's gonna be out of that
Right,
expense
right,
sheet.
right.
Well, if we're not going to do the tennis courts, 400,000 would be.
But we're not saying we're not gonna do them, because you only need a vote of 4 for that.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And we're not here today to decide it's not like, yep, you get everything you asked for.
No, okay.
And then, so the residents know that, because
Right.
they're thinking that. They're like, oh my gosh.
Well, they're right out there, we can all go take a little.
No, they're
We can all
bad.
take it.
They're bad.
I know,
After
I
I
know
said that,
that.
I went out and I said, we just put 50 grand in it.
How are they compared to Pompos?
Pompos are better than out there,
Pompos aren't that bad.
but they're bad.
Ours have they had some wide cracks.
Yeah, it's shocking how bad they are. Disappointingly.
Before you leave today, just walk it.
I will.
I know, when I
But
look.
is there a consensus that a reduction is the whole, I think we all agree on a reduction. The question is how much?
I don't know, when I look at this, holding up the Department of Public Safety budget and the work that Director Kretschmar put into this and the
It's
numbers,
amazing.
I have full faith and confidence in this.
It's a little hard
This,
in his defense, because he has to get quotes. And they
okay, but
are not static quotes.
I understand that, but there are other ways to come up with a reasonable
Well,
number.
we'll see when we get the
Why
quotes.
don't we budget 400,000
Fine.
with the goal of being well under that?
Are you fine with that?
I'm fine
So
with that.
there's
Yep.
your consensus that there would be 5.
Everybody good? Okay.
Begrudgingly fine. with
Well,
that.
it's
We'll
just
see how
horse
it
trading.
goes.
It's horse trading at the end of the day.
Again, we don't have to spend it all if it
No.
comes.
He has to come in front of us to
$500,000
spend
to
anything.
replace, and we don't
Yeah.
want to do that.
I've already
you
said
know?
that 4 times.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, but
And he liked it, so he said it again.
Oh, no, Sherry, I'm just like,
yeah,
I
she
just
liked
said that
it.
4 times. I'm like,
Right, I mean,
okay.
all right.
Perfect.
Anything else we want to cover tonight, council?
Do we have to decide if we're going to vote on the budget? Is the goal for next, coming up?
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good,
Do we-
that is
do we
the-
need- Do we need to
Yep.
decide on the PA 33 number?
One of the things that we typically do is we put together the resolution language for the approval of the budget and the PA 33 for the packet, which we would have out later this week. Without any solid numbers, the resolution really can't be done. So we can do 2 things. We can either put together that resolution with the numbers that I have in my recommended budget for now, and then as we work our way through the changes, we will approve it with the changes that we've talked about. Or we can hold off on having that on the upcoming agenda and schedule another meeting and put it at a future meeting. 'Cause I know that there's a whole lot of stuff that we're gonna have to try to get some answers for
You need
the
to
meeting
know that-
next Thursday, and it's probably gonna be very challenging, especially with DPW out all week.
so another meeting it is.
They're out all week.
Mark is out all week at a conference, and he is taken Thursday and Friday off for vacation, and then Rob, I believe, is back Wednesday or Thursday. He's at a conference as well.
so if we
Did
just,
not know that last time we met, that they were both going to be gone for tonight.
It's all right.
so if we did another meeting, it would have to be like the first 13th or 14th or something like that, because.
13th is Fame Awards.
Oh, the
so-
14th then, because the 20th, you need to have everything
The
approved.
20th would be the last possible moment
Right.
that we as a group could meet and approve a budget,
I would want to.
Well, that's not,
with no
What the
penalty,
16th?
really.
we've never been penalized for waiting till June 27th at 11 PM.
I would
The only thing
not, I would
penalizing
advise
my
against
hair-
that.
I'm not a fan of that either. I sat here and made us violate the charter one night because we wouldn't pass a budget.
16th, 15th.
2016.
We generally have 20 days to get a budget approved by 5 people.
All right, but
what?
this is the puzzle you need to know is what's our PA 33 number? And the budget adjustment in DPW? Is that what you're saying, that you?
No, so we have two resolutions. So there's one resolution, which is the resolution to approve the budget. And what I can do is I can put in the same numbers that we had for the public hearing, my recommended numbers from the recommended budget, but acknowledging the fact that you guys are still going to be working on changing those numbers, and it likely will be different from what we have in that resolution, and we will certainly update those numbers as we come out of the meeting. We can put it in the packets as I have it recommended. And then for the PA 33, I could do the same, is that we could put the resolution together with what I have in my recommended budget. You wouldn't necessarily need to make a decision tonight. We wouldn't necessarily need to carry things over into another meeting if we could finish things on the 9th. But I feel like there's a lot of questions that you guys are going to need answers to, and I don't know if you're going to have enough information at the May 9th meeting, seeing that DPW really is not going to be around until next Monday. The DPW superintendent, he won't be working on any of this. It won't be in the packets for you. I know how you like the information ahead of time. So it's going to be very challenging to be able to get all of this information, given the fact that people are off right now.
So 16th, 17th?
So I'm actually, I'll be in California the 15th through the 19th.
And I'm in Ohio, the 13th through the 15th, and in Florida, the 20th through the 22nd.
So the 4th,
I could do the 13th or the 16th.
13th of Fame Awards,
Yeah, 13th Fame Awards,
What time are those at?
5:30
5:30.
till 8.
yeah, I'm not coming in at 8.
14th, the 15th.
I'm out.
She's out.
And she's out the 15th, 16th, 17th.
16th.
We're good, she's not.
Yeah, we're good.
Can do the 16th.
I'll be in Cali.
Well, the 20th is that next Monday.
I can't do the 20th.
Can't do the,
I know, I
Well, then
literally
you guys
have,
are gonna have to hash it out tonight.
I've got
As
no
far as the
problem hashing it
PA
out
33,
tonight.
so.
Just there's no, I
We
will
still
not
gotta
be
have
at the
it in-
next meeting.
Prohibits us from a weekend meeting.
The 9th, I won't be here.
What'd you say?
I said there's nothing that prohibits us from
Yeah,
weekend
the
meetings.
faces of everybody in here does. I'm telling you that right now.
I could
I'm
only,
just saying there's nothing that prohibits it.
I know.
Nope, I don't think
Oh, because
anybody
you're not
wants
gonna be
it.
here.
Sunday,
right?
8 a.m.
I can only do Sunday, I was gonna say, because I have graduations.
What,
My
Sunday?
daughter's graduating, my
The 19th?
goddaughter's
But
graduating.
you're not going to be here, right?
Yeah, no, I'm taking the red-eye home on that day, so. And then what, does that follow, is that following weekend Memorial Weekend?
yeah.
24th, 25th.
Well, we got to do it by the 20th.
We,
We do.
we broke that rule twice.
I was going to say, if we follow,
The world doesn't end.
What
I-
about the 22nd, 23rd then, if we break the rule?
I'm good with,
I mean, I would like to have
I
everyone,
thought you said you were gone.
no, the 22nd, 23rd. I'm gone the 20th.
Oh, okay.
I'm breaking the rules. I'm gone the 20th, 21st. I'm coming back the 22nd.
23rd works best for me. I can't do the 22nd.
22nd, I'm good.
23rd,
23rd.
23rd would be better for me, and I'm sorry that I'll be missing Emerson Family Fun Night.
Oh, I was going to sneak off and see how that was.
Sorry.
We'll have to start early and
Yeah,
then go
we'll-
get ice cream.
Oh,
We'll
perfect.
take a long break.
Yeah, 23rd, I'm good.
I've already been to like 10 of them.
Elaine does not look comfortable with that.
Elaine, I'll call the governor myself and tell her I did it again.
Well,
No, I think this
My best
this
friend is
gives
a sorority
people,
sister.
I could do the 20th, I could do the 17th, I could do the 16th.
I would really like a budget that has the expenditures as close to what we've talked about. The PA 33, if that gets hashed out that night, we already know what the max is, it's just the number in between there. But if we have the expenditures, I'm much more comfortable with that, given the last few years of budgeting, that we have a number in front of us that we can say, yep, this is the adopted budget, and it's pretty close to what we think we're going to spend. I think that way, as the year progresses, we can compare our expenditures to that and find out how we did.
if you're uncomfortable with that, what about Sunday, the 12th? I get as a.
It's Mother's Day.
That's Mother's
Oh,
Day.
I mean, that's fine.
I'm fine with it too. I mean, I know it's Mother's Day, but
Notice, obviously, I didn't realize it was Mother's Day.
I'm honestly good with Mother's Day,
I'm not.
even in the morning.
I want breakfast made for me. Hello, it's the one thing I get here.
I'll get my coupon book no matter what.
Do the Treasury Police come down here on May 20th and ask for a copy of your budget?
I have never been in a position where I've had a late budget.
Oh, well, then we don't. I get it.
So I don't know.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
I don't know what, yeah.
What happens?
From
Nothing.
the look on her face, I don't
Nothing.
want to make her feel.
I don't want it, yeah.
So,
The budget, we passed one on June 27th, 2017. I remember because I drove, because I stayed here instead of going to Florida for my grandchild's birth. So I remember that night. The world didn't end. As long as we got it in before June 30th, apparently the state didn't care. But
Don't forget to breathe. You're not breathing.
You could blame council.
Breathe.
blame us.
Yeah, put it on us.
they can blame you guys, because I'm available all those days, so y'all got problems.
I don't,
Saturday, the 11th in the evening would also work for me.
It's my birthday, we can celebrate.
Yeah,
I'd have to be late,
yeah, I mean, I have
I do
Science
have something
Olympiad
planned,
that
but
day,
I
so it would
would-
have to be late.
late for me, because I'm gonna be in.
okay, let's start with this. Who's here, who's available on the 23rd of May? Let's start there.
Yeah.
Is everyone available?
Yeah.
Hang on.
I'm not.
I mean, it's Emerson Family Fun Night, but
Yeah.
I'll skip it.
I'm being told I have to go to it.
Oh, I will,
The creator of it gives you permission to.
yeah.
22nd was
No, you
out?
can't miss it.
The 22nd was out?
I've been to like a million of them.
Okay.
I'll miss it.
The 21st is out?
Second was fine.
Yep.
22nd's fine
That's
for me,
out.
too.
I can do 22nd.
I can't do the 22nd.
I think Patrick just preferred.
All right, 21st,
I can't.
okay.
Unfortunately, I know.
Do I hear 24th?
How about this? How about we see how next Thursday goes, and if we can't,
Yeah, if we're already blowing the deadline, why does it matter at this point?
Sorry.
No, I mean, you gotta have a vote of 5 anyway, so.
So June 3rd then.
I'm getting a huge award at work, and I will be there.
Good for you.
And it's only like so many per market, so the whole Detroit, Michigan market. I'm one of 40.
June 3rd.
Wait, we're literally going into June?
Y'all are so popular.
What about?
All these
will you skip
plans.
that
I'm
whole-
available
oh, I
any other
can't
day,
do that.
every day, really.
I mean, we could do the
May
last,
30th?
May 30th.
That's crazy.
Actually, anything after
I
Memorial
don't
Day
want to
that
push it
week.
outside of me.
No.
I really don't.
I won't be here
I want you
for
to have it all
May
done. I don't.
30th.
How about May 28th or 29th?
I'll be in Ohio.
I'm going to be.
Memorial Day, I'll be gone.
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day's the 27th.
Let's do it then.
Oh, then I'm
28th is
sorry.
Sunday.
30th is okay. I thought Memorial
30th
Day.
is okay.
Wait,
with me,
I'm
too.
looking at the wrong
I
page.
was like, 28th is a Tuesday.
Yeah, 28th is a Tuesday.
Okay.
I'll be gone on that day.
Okay.
All right, can we perhaps work this out between us?
We're almost there.
Okay.
We've literally ruled out
We've been-
every.
29, 30 is
Not the
fine.
30th. Is everybody good with 30th?
Oh, May?
Hang on. I think, so far, what I'm hearing is 29th
Or 30th, I'm
or
good.
30th work.
29th I cannot do, sorry.
Okay, 30th?
Band banquet, spring band banquet.
Oh, I guess that means I can't do that either.
30th.
30th?
going once?
I
Going
won't be
twice?
here.
Oh my God, you're kidding. Okay, June 3rd.
Okay, come on.
I have no idea.
That's a Monday.
What,
I can't
what
go.
if we back it up a day?
Then you can. Huh?
What do you mean?
What if we back it up to May 8th instead of the 9th?
What, the regular meeting?
Yeah.
We can't. We already published those.
And I have a great Emerson skating party, which I'd rather go to that than
We can
family. fun.
cancel the regular meeting and then schedule a special meeting.
What about, oh, why won't you be here?
What, you already said we aren't going to have time to get the numbers
Yeah, the
anyway.
numbers.
Yeah, that's not gonna work anyways.
No way you could squeak it in on Mother's Day.
No. We only got so many. of those.
I say those two on Mother's Day.
I know.
It's only a couple, I mean,
The mothers are willing to do it.
Well-
Clearly, I have no life, because I'm the only one who doesn't have a million things
The
planned.
10th, did anyone mention, I know that's the day after our normal meeting. Is that too tight?
the 12th, you mean?
No, May 10th.
Oh, that's probably too tight
That's a
still.
Friday.
Well, the
I
whole,
don't know.
Oh, I mean, 10th would
you're
work
s-
for me.
You're gonna do the,
I can't be here at 6.
I don't
We're gonna
know.
be working on all of this for the meeting for
Okay.
the 8th, so whatever discussion and changes you have out of the meeting on the 8th.
I still, why, what's wrong with June 3rd?
nothing, but
Nothing.
she's gone, yeah.
June 3rd,
You're
too?
gone the whole week.
Ugh.
Can I back up? Couldn't we, if we're setting a budget, I mean, I know we want as close to numbers as possible, but can we can always amend the budget? I mean, if the main, I think, component of this is what the PA 33 number is going to be. Sorry.
Correct. Yeah, no, you're correct.
So
Yeah.
I feel like we're unnecessarily.
I agree.
I mean, I think we could hammer
it
out
now.
right now what the PA 33 is. Always can do budget, we can submit the budget as submitted, but we can always go less.
Agreed.
I just won't be here on the 9th to vote.
So let's take a break, because I never got to, could we take a break? And then let's see what we can
Let's just
hammer it out.
hammer this out
Well, no.
now. I mean,
yeah.
but I mean, as
Yeah.
long as the other.
And then do it, yeah.
Because we're talking about small, not small amounts, but I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about a little bit more defined numbers rather than budget numbers. Budget is a budget.
Yep, you're right.
And right now with how the budget we have, we know roughly where we're going to be at.
Yep.
I feel that let's hammer this out now and not make it inconvenient for everybody.
I agree.
I just won't be
Need a
here on the 9th
5-minute
for
break. No, he wants to
voting.
do it right now.
Oh, right now?
We're going to try to
No,
reach a
you're
consensus.
talking about the regular meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about, okay, I see what you're saying now.
So that way.
Yeah, let's,
If we come to a consensus, I think on most of that, we'll have,
Hammer.
we'll have the 5 votes anyways.
correct.
So I feel, let's take a 5-minute breather and then, well, if that's okay with that in there, but then let's hammer that out.
Let's
and-
get done and get out of here for these folks.
They'd rather do it today than on Mother's Day.
Yeah, I feel we're going to come back and it's going to
So
be,
you're saying we're gonna vote on a budget tonight?
No.
vote for what, or agree what the PA 33 number is.
Reach consensus.
Consensus with the PA 33 number and consensus that we're going to accept the budget as we have it right now with the changes we've already made. And then if we have to make amendment,
So we come up with a consensus, and then, okay, I see what you're saying.
are you guys good with that?
And then that's when you guys
No.
vote on the same thing. we're all-
Listen, I'm not the one who has any conflicting dates. I'm fine. Let's just get it done.
Okay, let's take 5.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not the one who needs to like dance around all the dates.
sorry. Councilmember Odell.
So let's try to come to a consensus on PA 33. I guess raise a hand, who wants to keep it as is?
Hey, who doesn't? Who wants it as 0?
I could split the baby.
And that,
I'd be okay with splitting the baby.
well, what is,
Here, I will be
What is
succinct
that-
in what
what
I
does that
mean.
mean?
Split the baby means one mil for PA 33, which has to be allocated and specifically put into MERS OPEB.
just 1 mil?
Just one.
Okay.
Compromise makes the world go round.
You're
Because I
0
understand,
You're 0 forever.
Well, we just have too
I'm
much
not trying
money.
to, I'm just
No.
being conversational here.
We
You're-
have
you're
too much
0.
money. I can't ask the taxpayers to keep enacting this when we have, as Amy said, 2 to 4 times what we should have in it.
But we owe $60 million.
I know, and another million's not gonna help that 60 million. I hate to look at it
Okay.
that way, but
That's fine. Councilmember Shornack is 1, and it all goes to OPEB.
I'm.
Councilmember Odell?
2, keep it as is. And, yeah, obviously.
Would you consider a mill going towards OPEB?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, it's
That's
an
why I think-
additional.
That's why, an additional, what do you mean?
Well, we have that actuarial number that
Amount that we have
eventually
to,
used
so an
that's
addition.
plugged in.
Right.
And then we have the 207,000 for the corrective action plan. And then what I threw out there was take 1 mil and put that into OPEB too. So another 550,000. So we're,
Stayed at 2, but one's dedicated.
one is
specifically
dedicated
for that pay
to
it
our
down.
legacy costs. And that would be a motion in the budget to make that, to effectuate that.
That I'm 100% on board, because then we're actually paying down
Okay.
the responsibility.
So you're for 2, with one of them going to OPEB. Your 1 goes to OPEB, you're 0. Mayor?
Can we start on the outside? Sure.
It's like a table. No. I'll go next, I'm fine. I am actually 0. Oh.
She was starting to talk, so I wanted to let.
That's okay. No, you're good.
I'm not ready to order yet.
I mean,
need a
even
minute to
better.
look at the
I'm
menu.
0 and money towards OPEB.
How
on
much?
here. Half a mil. Half a million. What, you were putting 1 million, you were putting 1.1 million?
No, we were putting 5.
Oh, no.
1 mil.
Oh, so same number.
1 mil,
yeah.
about
Half,
over
so
500.
a little over half, yeah, so, same.
Round number, 500,000.
Yeah, 500,000.
So I like Patrice's thinking. I think we could maybe lower it 1, but we need to keep it 1 and give some OPEB. We have the mill to them, to OPEB.
Okay, so I had a phone conversation with a resident today who was adamant that we needed more police. I hear from residents all the time, I want sidewalks, I want a splash pad, I want, flowers, all of these things, right, that they want. Knowing that we haven't been working within a budget where we actually knew what we had to spend for years, and that we do have wants and needs, a lot of which of those wants we can cut. I'm not ready to cut it yet, and I know that last year I was very much, and I even said earlier, very like-minded to Patrice, right, where let's split it, but seeing as, our OPEB liability, I'm at 2 and put 1 mil in OPEB.
No, there's nothing wrong with it.
So we all agree OPEB needs.
And that was my original.
Right.
We all
2
agree
with
on
1 dedicated, one of those mills
Yeah.
dedicated.
So the 3 in the middle.
2 paying down those, as an additional payment to OPEB. And by the way, I just.
Well, wait, can I say one more thing really
Sure.
quick? Sorry. With having a plan in place to seriously look at zeroing it out next year. And No, we didn't say.
Yes,
it.
we did.
We
The
said
last
we were
2
gonna.
years.
We said we were gonna cut it. We were gonna split the difference last year. We're gonna cut it. I don't remember ever saying that we were gonna zero it out. So I mean, I can go back and watch, but I don't. But really putting a plan in place to get some of the wants and some of the needs done this year, planning for the future, which I know, Patrice, I've heard you say a million times, planning for the future. We need to do that right now before we just zero it out. We don't have a plan in place where we can just go, we're done. We're not there yet. We can get there. Not right now.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable with zeroing it out either.
I just wanted to share one thing. The three of us, you, me, and you, years ago, we actually put 200,000 into OPEB. And I looked at the audits and all that stuff, and would you know that that money didn't go to OPEB? It went to pensions. Because that first finance director we hired in 2021 didn't know what he was doing, and he put it into a pension. I actually caught it on the budget, let him know, but it still went into pensions. So that's why I said we would make a specific motion to do that immediately as part of the budget
That was
adoption.
part of the motion then, so that's really.
I know it was. Well, I'm just telling you it didn't happen. And that's why Anjali is from here to here, we've improved. She's still learning, but I'm just a skeptic, and I like to make sure these things happen. And that's a frustration of mine. That's why I get,
Yeah, I just know the auditor talked about the fact we did make additional payments.
we do every year.
But the additional above and beyond always, it's like paying off your house. When you put more towards the principal, the balance goes down. And so that's alarming to hear that, but.
Well, it was just that one thing where we sat here and did basically this, talked about putting additional money in. We said OPEB, and he didn't do it, and because he was incompetent. But, so I'm very specific about making sure that whatever we agree to, it gets put into a motion.
Always.
So that there is no question. That's just a frustration of mine. So. All right, we don't have a consensus yet, we're 4-3.
We're actually 3-2-2,
Yeah.
3-2-2. Okay,
if we're going to be literal.
okay. So I guess we don't,
4-0-1-2.
at least we know where we stand. I don't know we're going to solve this
And
tonight.
we have to have 5, correct?
Yep. What will it take for you to come off 2? I guess the question is, well, that's the bottom line. What will it take for you to come off 2? Patrice said what would it take for her to come up, which was to dedicate
What will
it.
it take for you to
Well, I asked
leave
first.
1?
I asked first. You want to lead.
That's
You
fair.
get to ask the
That's
question.
fair. That's fair.
How about 1.5, 1 going to OPEB, half keeping there? So 1.5 total
Yeah, I gotcha.
mills.
Oh, okay.
You look confused. That's my compromise.
Sure, where we are, 2.25?
We're at 2.
No, I mean, the budget's at 2. What were we at this year?
2.
Oh, 2? Oh, yeah. Oh, well, yeah, for sure then.
So we get closer to the goal to eliminate it, but we're still not.
So the $500,000, what are you going to do with that to solve all the wants and the needs there, Councilmember Sutherland?
Oh,
I'm trying to now I'm doing your job. You did this last year. So
I know.
I'm
God,
trying to
that's
get
really
the-
annoying. I did that last year?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Patrick and I sat next to each other.
I mean, I think a lot of the groundwork is already in here. We just have to get real numbers. And I can't say anything for sure without real numbers. I mean, we've already talked about this. I feel like some of these numbers were plucked out of the sky,
But that's also part of budget process.
or some of the,
It's an estimated, educated guess.
is it? I'm not confident that it is an educated guess.
Can I ask about, this has been mentioned several times tonight about real numbers. You know, the numbers that we worked on the budget, we worked on for months. And some of these numbers are based on contractual costs. Some of these numbers are based on what you see as increases for like DTE, things like that, and what you estimate their increases are gonna be. Some of these numbers are based on things where you know you're gonna have to go out to bids. You have an estimate, you kind of have an idea of what it's gonna cost based on some research that you've done, maybe with like neighboring communities or your familiarity with costs, like for roads, concrete, stuff like that. There's a lot of things that we're never going to be able to give you real numbers. A budget is a plan, and we absolutely, everyone does their best to try to come up with numbers that are realistic. I thought when people were talking about real numbers previously, we were talking about some of the recommended changes that we've had in the budget. So, you know, taking down the number for the local community stabilization, making sure that we reduce the taxes by 100,000 for those veteran exemptions, some of these other things. So I just want to kind of be clear that there are a lot of numbers here that they are real numbers. So
I
just
believe you. And
trying to figure out
like I
what-
said earlier, these Department of Public Safety numbers, I believe that these are real numbers. I saw research in here, I saw spreadsheets, I saw things that, to me, provided the right amount of verification for me to actually believe that they were real numbers. This, no. So if we talk about $300,000 for a tennis court, because I'll just pick on the tennis courts again, short of showing me a plan that's been put into place or tennis courts that have been built in our city or another one, where it went out to bids and it was the same size and exactly the work that we're looking for, and it cost $300, I will never believe sitting here tonight that that's going to cost $300,000 when we built Meadows Park for what, $235,000? I'm not going to believe it.
So clarity on those
Yes.
capital.
Those
It's
are-
capital costs. I
it's
think
Because there's a
that's-
difference between
Yeah. It's capital costs.
putting in an estimate, right, or your best educated guess, and saying that you saw Sasquatch, which that's what this is. It's fiction.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not your-
I believe one of the things where those numbers came from was the master plan, and those were numbers when they were working on the master plan 3 years ago now, 4 years ago, that those were estimates that they had put in the master plan. And as far as like the detail or what it was meant to be able to cover, I can't tell you, and that would be something that the public
Buy a whole
safety-
entire house.
Not public safety, public
That
works.
amount of
superintendent
money.
needs to
You're telling me
address.
you can't make a tennis court?
Yeah, and I was on the
Madness.
same page as you, that I wanted to get the changes we've discussed and what your understanding of, and incorporate that so that we have a new idea where we stand.
Perfect. Thank
And maybe we get there by the 9th. I mean, but I really do want to, I want to know, I don't like a budget that has a lot of fluff in it. I remember budgets
I don't
passed
do that.
where there was a woman that sat over here and would call everything, the contingency fund is a slush fund. And she would, I'm talking about Barb, she would go, she would line item that, and she would say, you've got too much money in this is just a slush fund. That's the kind of budgeting that I watched here for years, and I don't like the idea that we put money in, but then we can decide again. We should decide now whether we want to spend it. That's, and where we want to limit, and maybe it's a dollar limit that says, here's what we want, here's how much money we have, tell us what of these things, what can we buy?
That's what I tried to do.
That's what Amy's been saying.
That's why I said eliminate $1 million, balance the budget, and keep a fund balance of that and allocate,
Eliminate $1 million of revenue?
correct, the
Okay.
833. That's exactly what you just asked for is what I was trying to do.
But
Not get into the weeds on this versus that, because that's their job.
No, the weeds are our job, too. Our job is to make public policy about what we want Steffens Park to look like.
That's every week, every month, every meeting, not in the budget. The budget to me is big. That's my view.
Okay.
Because if we're in the weeds on the budget, we're never going to have a budget.
Then I don't think that we're there yet, though, because, I mean, I could go through this, I wouldn't want to do it right here, right now, but I could go through this and easily give you 5 things, like cut, cut, cut. So when
Do it.
when we, done.
Do
So I
it.
mean, you know, when you say that you would like direction, like, I can give you that level of direction if you want that before the next meeting. Just, I mean, for me personally, right? Like, no to this, half to this. I mean, is that the level of detail and direction that,
What good does that do? That's you.
I know, that's what I'm
That's
saying.
what I'm saying, we
I'm saying
don't-
just
yeah.
me, I'm saying, but like, would collectively from us, like, this is something that, I have a visceral reaction to this number and I'm a no. I mean, is that helpful?
As a body.
Only for
Yeah.
bigger ticket items. You know, everything else is gonna, I think like Patrice mentioned earlier, it's all going to come to
Right.
you for approval.
I've
But,
got
I
some-
mean,
I've got some big-
dealing with the big things, the roads, the OPEB, the PA 33, these are the big issues.
At the end of the day, I should be talking in the microphone. It's a budget, and we have a surplus. And when we pass this budget, and we will eventually pass this budget, there's still going to be a surplus. And so if we pass a budget that has stricken, or, we say, let's say we passed my budget, which says eliminate 1.1 million in revenue, take the capital improvements for the parks, half it, and half, pick another, 2 million in cuts, so you got to cut another, right? And she comes back with it, whatever it is. When they come for a new fire truck, or a new this, or a new that, we decide. Because it doesn't matter if it's in here, because it's still got to be a vote.
But I think that we've also heard, though, that, oh, well, was this budgeted for? Yes, it was. And then
Correct.
everyone's like, oh, okay, it was
Correct. But
budgeted
that's
for.
on- that's
Because
on
if I
us.
give my kids $20 to go into the gas station and say, go in and just get exactly what you need and bring me my change, they're going to spend $19.90, and
That's
they're
why
going to
I
bring me
say,
a dime.
You go in
So
and you
if
get
we-
chips, a pop, and ice. I don't give my kids $20
But it-
and say, get what you need.
Well,
That's the difference.
you're a more strict mom, I guess, than I am.
Okay,
But so
we're-
that's
but
what I'm
we're
saying.
a city,
But hang
so
on one
let's
second.
just
So I'm
bring it
saying,
back
like,
to-
but to setting those clear and direct expectations now, instead of having to have some of those discussions later, we still have the time and the ability to do that to an extent. And make some of these cuts so that we are reducing the amount of conversations that we
agree.
have further down the
But
road.
I think we have a consensus on the stuff.
On what? Which part?
We just eliminated a ton of money from the parks. What else? What are your cuts?
Go through DPW. I mean, the trucks are going. I don't know that we need everything that we're borrowing from Roseville. Do we? Don't we? I don't know, because I also don't have realistic numbers of what those things might cost. I asked in our last budget meeting if there was a way that we could can we get a gently used stump grinder? Do we need to go out and buy a stump grinder with a Rolls-Royce symbol on it? I don't know. I don't have that information, so I can't say one way or another. I could sit here right now and say, I'm not giving $50,000 for a stump grinder, or $30,000, whatever it was. Is that the right decision? No, I don't know. Do I want to borrow from Roseville? No. But do I want to go out and buy the absolute best whatever that's going to sit shiny in our DPW yard next to our new automated gates with our new gas station?
I've got some questions for you.
No.
I got a list here. Thank you for your list. So do we want to put in, do we want to pave the DPW north parking lot?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's in. DPW siding.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The rest of those are pretty much $20,000 and under, like elevator repairs, chairs, DPS port gutters, or carport gutters. Fire gear, we agreed that that was important.
Yes.
Fire packs and masks, we agreed that was important.
Yep.
Intoxilizer, which sounds like a fun device, but it's not. That's it. Garfield Road, we're doing that. Klein, we're doing, that's engineering for next year's grant supported. Sidewalk gap program, that's 100,000. Are we in?
Yep.
Okay. Ambulance fund, that's outfit squad 2, so that's already a go. One lawn mower leaf trailer instead of 3, I think, and that was the recommended was 1.
So we cut.
We cut
Cut.
already.
Cut it.
Well, there's no, it was recommended.
Oh, right, she already cut it.
Yes. Senior housing, that's paid for through the enterprise fund. That's elevator upgrades, HVAC, emergency generator, fire suppression, and mechanical doors.
Yeah, but weren't we going to get a bid on the generator?
Yes, but these are the capital expenditures that were
Yeah.
provided. So everything here,
It's reasonable thus far.
the things, and so, and then the sewer projects, water, those are.
That's done.
Those are done deals. What I have is, on the bubble are Pompo and Rindell. I have those under not approved on my list because we haven't approved them yet. And then the chipper, the stump grinder.
The trucks,
Are
those on there?
And I'm looking, they should be on,
70 grand for a,
yeah, they should be on, I don't know why they're not on my chart. But anyway, so most of the things on your capital expenditure report are a go, with the exception of how much we put into the parks. And the patrol vehicles are approved, so that's it. So,
Are the DPW conference expenses on there?
no, this is capital expenditure.
Okay.
This is things we're going to buy.
But that's in the agreement that we signed.
Nope,
there's not a written agreement.
All
nope.
right, but I want to
talk
just
about
get to
that another
this. So
time.
there's really nothing else here. We went through all these things, and the only outstanding question marks are the truck-mounted leaf unit. That's the new one-man unit for the truck. The stump grinder, the chipper, and the park
Motor
improvement.
pool. Do you not have motor pool expenses on your
Yeah.
sheet? No, he's got a special.
This is from the budget packet. This is the capital expenditure break.
So that's two of the trucks
Okay.
at issue.
And if
One
you
of
want to
them-
take those out, now's the time to kind of.
That's 65,000 for replacing a 70,000 mile 2016 truck. But the motor pool does have a ton of money in it.
And we also have,
But remember, the motor pool is paid for by other funds. It's what they call an internal service fund.
Oh, I know that, but doesn't it have, what's the fund balance on the motor pool?
We just made it back to zero. It was zero.
Oh, we did. Well, then how are we gonna get that paid out of the,
We're gonna work on maintaining a $100,000 minimum fund balance in that account.
so it wouldn't come for this until it was there to pay for it?
No, the money for these trucks would come from whatever department's using.
No, he's got it coming from the
Whatever
motor
is
pool.
budgeted, there would be a percentage pulled from the other departments to cover everything that's budgeted, plus 100,000 to.
Oh, right, I got what you're saying. I'm saying he's not gonna come to, oh, it's actually 65. When's he gonna come? We'd have to ask him. You're speculating where he's,
No, I know where the money comes from somewhere else. That's like a bucket. And so public safety pours some money into that bucket.
I
to
understand
fix
that. My
So,
question is, where is he getting, why do you not have this capital improvement on your sheet?
I don't know. I did this at 4 this morning from the
that
There's
budget
problem number one.
from April.
Why are you working at 4 in the morning?
Is that on this one?
Because that's when I do my best work.
Capital.
So where is this 65,000 that,
4:30 and 6:30.
and do you have the,
I don't have, this was just your separate spreadsheet. This was not from the budget itself, so.
so then we need a new one of those.
and what, did we talk about the $175,000 John Deere? These are the big ticket items that,
That was the backhoe, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the backhoe. Got the backhoe here somewhere. So that's in
Well, then we
water.
can't completely cut out Rindell. 'Cause we said bare bones,
we just
right?
stick to
We're just gonna, that's gonna be less than 7,500, so we're not gonna worry about it.
Yeah, because that's going to be labor and
Right.
piecemeal.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tarp.
The backhoe was coming out of the water fund. It was not coming out of general fund.
Yep,
So that would not affect either
that doesn't
way.
affect, yeah.
That would not affect PA 33 or whatever.
No, I know.
In the audience.
So in the DPW yard parking lot, then, is that?
I believe you
Was
knew
that
that,
for a
right?
complete replacement?
Yes.
You did too,
That's coming out of
probably.
general fund, not out of.
That's coming out of general fund.
Thank you, audience.
Commodity.
Does it need a complete replacement? I mean, I
gave us
know it's
both.
bad. I remember the
pretty much
pictures. It's
dirt.
bad.
Yeah.
And these are, all these new equipment that we have, you wanna.
So yeah, the DPW yard is almost
Okay.
dirt. So is Schoolcraft on to Vernetta.
Okay. All right, so I just want to go through these things. Main things are the chipper, stump grinder, backhoe, the vehicles you mentioned, and the parks. Those are,
Didn't we already agree to a $400,000 number on the parks?
well, it's a consensus.
Consensus.
Since we're not voting.
We're not voting.
Right,
Yeah.
right, but I mean, that's consensus.
So 400,000 is a number you can work with and then fit.
For the parks?
Yeah,
Right, needs and work
all
our
of
way
them,
down.
yeah, just
Okay.
lower it.
That's for Stephens, right? 400? We'll have
Okay,
to-
so let's get back to that PA 33, shall we?
Okay.
Because that is the main thing that we need to really agree on. So I believe the question was asked, what would it take you to come down, and what would it take Ms. Bransky to come and Mr. Perry to come up? Because Sherry and I are right in the middle. So,
Well, but then Councilman Odell threw out another number of 1.5.
Well, he came down, that's what he
He
said.
came down.
He answered the question, he's the only one of, he answered my question.
Okay.
So you and,
Let a show of hands, 1.5 with one going to OPEB, the other going to PA 33. Would you be in favor of that?
I'll do that. I'm reasonable.
Need a hand, consensus.
I go back to that.
I'm still.
I just won't go to zero.
I'm still splitting the baby. Because I understand your thought process of, you know, taking it down, but then what happens if we have to put it back up? But here's the thing. Let's say that's 3 years from now. So that's 3 years that the taxpayers don't have to put out that money. And I don't think they would go, oh my God, you should have just left it that way for 3 years, because that's 3 years of saving. So I understand what you're thinking, because I know we had so much pushback about the PA 33 when it all started in the first place. I get that, I really do. But the other part of this is, surprisingly to me, by the way, that home values did not decrease. So in all actuality, our mill has gone up significantly from where it was when it all crashed and went to heck. So we are actually, that was another reason, because during that time where we had the budget constraints and everything like that, the city and the council didn't make any cuts when our revenue was dilapidated because all of our home values went down in smoke. So that is where the problem, I mean, not including the MERS and OPEB, because that's been a problem since day one, but I'm saying the budget problems, that's when they began. And so we did finally set the ship right, if you would, by initiating the PA 33 against everybody's wishes. That being said, there is a time and place. If the time isn't right now, that doesn't mean it may not be in the future. And that's why I'm saying, like, I would split the baby 1 and 1. So give 1 to the public, leave 1 on the table for the MERS and OPEB, because that is our hugest liability at this time. And that way, basically, everybody gets something out of it. I understand the 1.5 too, I do, but I'm just saying, if you do 1 and 1, 1 comes up, 1 goes down. And that's about as equitable as you could possibly be, because not every situation is equitable. So that one is equitable situation. But that's where we went wrong. I'm sure you can attest to that, right, Mr. Lessig, that that's when everything went crazy, because they just kept spending money, even though we didn't have it coming in. The city.
When?
When the
2008,
market crashed in
2009.
2008, 9, and 10, and then all of our home values went down, they never adjusted the budget, they kept it the same.
I disagree with that completely. I was there. And in 2009, 10, 11, 12, the city lost $3 million in actual revenue and cut 20% of the budget and 20 cops. We used to have 51 cops, we have 29 now. And that happened between 2007 or 8 and 2017. So, yes, they actually, what happened was not so much that we didn't cut the budget, is that we pretended that these costs, that we were still providing the same level of service, but in fact, we were kicking that can down the road by not paying these OPEB
Well, I agree with
liabilities.
that part too. but
So,
That's also.
Not properly allocating
Yeah.
revenue.
It's also
but we didn't
they
have
changed
it,
the
we were
gap count.
broke. We were literally, I mean,
We were.
we implemented the library millage, and when I say we, the city, implemented the library millage and the refuse fund. Those were both millages sitting on the shelf, and they were implemented because there was a reluctance to do PA 33, and there was a reluctance to, but we were running out of money. We weren't able, that's how we got to 1.6 million in fund balance. So I know you want to, you said we're splitting the difference. I'm at 2. And at the same time that we're giving the taxpayers of today a break under a 0 or a 1, we're kicking another can of about $2 to $2.5 million a year down the road for future taxpayers. So I think of today and tomorrow, because if I'm living here in 10 years, I'm getting this check. I'm getting a bill for this in 10 years. When that retiree health care spikes, so the budget is complicated, and we have a lot of needs that are not on paper. You mentioned, I don't know if it was tonight or before, is that until this came up and started showing up on our audit, we didn't think we owed the money. I'm paraphrasing.
Well, I was actually saying, because we switched to gap accounting and had to carry the whole liability all at once.
But we always had the liability, we just didn't show it on our financial
Right.
statements. So that brought it to light, and that made it real. And it's real to me, and yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
So I'm going to take this to a 50,000-foot view. We are a voice of the residents who voted for us, right? The things that I hear from residents at a very high level, we want more cops, we want more amenities, and we do not want a tax increase. By leaving it at 2 mills, we're going to give them exactly what they want. I don't have people coming to me saying they want a tax decrease.
Oh, I do.
I don't,
Oh,
ever.
God, I'm going to give them your email address.
Yeah, me too.
Do it. I've been getting
Oh, I will
email after
definitely do.
email about sheets, so go ahead and email me about the taxes also.
This is more
So-
important.
I'm just saying, that is what I hear. More police officers, more amenities, don't increase my taxes. We can talk about reducing PA 33 again next year. We have an opportunity to get some things done. I think we take this opportunity right now, and we get these things done. I was just on a phone call with a resident for about 45 minutes today. The crux of the conversation was, we need more cops, and here's all of these reasons why. I can't do it. So you know what? I'm off 1.5. I'm back at 2.
Councilmember Baranski.
The other thing that some council members might not be privy to, and the reason why 0 now makes sense, and it might not be 0 in 3 or 4 years, because we may have to have exhausted our fund balance. If we have a fund balance like we have, we may, as we did in the past, lose our ability to spend it as we choose.
We need to spend it now.
And realistically, in the next year, this council would have to be tasked with spending potentially $10 million in surplus.
Right, because our roads are falling apart.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted.
And yet, where are we at with the road plan?
Let's do it.
Well, now that you put it that way.
That's
Wait, no, the way you just put it, I'm back at 2 now. Because,
because you'd rather give it to people we don't have a say on because it's sitting
no,
there.
if we can,
Who is that?
I would
labor
rather spend the
unions.
money on
We
roads.
have all our contracts in place.
Yeah,
And when do they come up?
not for years.
I think,
I don't know, you just passed them before
Yeah,
I got
we've got years on the.
No, it's not, it was like a 3-year plan, right?
it's
The point, I,
4 years.
the point is, if you're not going to spend your fund balance, we do not get to save it for the rainy days like was done in the past. I'm just reminding
I hear you. I agree with you.
Yeah, because we got burned when we tried to save for projects, and we lost and had to,
Then let's just.
that's just, I just wanted to educate everyone.
and I'm glad you
And I
did. No,
hear you.
I
Let's
hear
do
you,
it.
and I,
Let's put it in
And
OPEB. Let's get some of these
Coming up with a
projects
plan for
done.
anything is
Let's
a
do it.
lot harder than you think, so.
We already know what the needs and a lot of the wants are. I don't think it's going to be as hard as you might think. I think we can do it. We can do it, Amy.
Come up with 18 million, that's
All
the
right.
first one.
Oh.
So have we moved to a consensus of 5?
No,
I-
we went the opposite way.
All right. So are we going to get anywhere tonight, or do we need to go rethink this and come back? Because
I prefer 2, where we're at.
I prefer 2.
I'm at 2.
And then I think we have 3 adamant less than 2s.
It's a fair way to put it.
Yeah. I'm honestly, when you start speaking, like saying some things I didn't know, I say let's spend it. There's so much that needs to be done in this city. And like she said, I've never heard anybody, I mean, I've heard people say they want us to lower their taxes, yes. But most people say just don't raise my taxes and give me more services. And I've been hearing that also.
But you do realize this, home values go up, taxes automatically go up.
Correct. So let's say you take away,
Technically, their taxes are going up.
their taxes are, exactly. So if, let's say we take away the 2 mil, let's say we get it to 0 then. Guess what? Their taxes are gonna go up no matter what then.
Well, they'll go down. because
go
they
down,
went
they'll go down, they'll go back up.
Well, they'll go
But it'll
down and
be
then they'll go
less.
back up.
They
okay.
will be less this year.
Yes.
than
Yes,
they
but then
would
they'll go
have
right
been.
back up.
Well, right, that's what you hope as a homeowner,
Right. You want.
unfortunately.
I also hope for my home to be in a city that's desirable for other people to want to live here when I sell it. And right now,
I don't know.
I don't know that I get a lot of feedback from people that live in the city and people who go, where's Fraser? That's the case.
Yeah, but those houses don't stay on the market long.
They sure don't.
They're
everywhere
flipping
right
pretty
now,
damn
though.
quick.
Yep, people are coming in.
So I don't think we're going to get to where we need to be tonight on this. It's going to come down to votes, and we're not making any tonight. Would anyone mind adjourning tonight, and then perhaps we can actually talk in between this meeting and get your updated report, and then come back on the 9th. Maybe we get it done.
I'm in favor.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. Oh.
Motion by Mayor Lesich, second by Councilmember Shornack to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. 9:46, thank you.